Tick tock, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. So we are trying to keep up with Sajid's non-responses to the Islamic Dilemma, masquerading as responses to the Islamic Dilemma. So Sajid keeps saying, "Gonna respond. Here's my new response to the Islamic Dilemma," and then we go through the entire video, and he hasn't responded one word to the Islamic Dilemma. But that's how dawa is. You make people think that you're answering something. Dawa is the art of pretending you're answering something without actually answering it. That would be the main definition of dawa. Dawa. How do you guys really say it? Dawa.
Yeah, like you say it, dawa. It's pretty legit.
What about dawa? I hear some guys emphasizing the more.
It depends how much you want to gag on it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we were talking right before we went live, and you guys were mentioning that, like me, your opinion of Sajid has dropped.
Yes.
So why is that? I said we should mention that when we go live. So why is that? Why are people's opinions of Sajid plummeting right now?
Well, we used to think Sajid had a better Islamic education than someone like Ali Dawa, for example. In fact, when we first started doing these responses against him, you asked us that question, and I said, yeah, I think Sajid definitely has a better Islamic education than Ali Dawa. He knows more Islam, this, and that. I really thought that he gave that impression. It wasn't until I actually seriously started watching him, because, you know, in the past I would just see like a video here or there, and I wouldn't really keep up with them too much. But now that I've been consistently watching his videos trying to respond to the Islamic Dilemma, which have been complete failures, I have concluded that, like you said yesterday, our opinion of him has just dropped. And I think this guy, his Islamic education is probably like his alleged Christian education, where he's like, oh, I did this, and that, but it doesn't actually have one. Like, doesn't actually exist. I don't even know if this guy went to Medina. I don't know. But I think that he's a lot worse, or he's probably equal to Ali Dawa or worse, in my estimation. What do you think? I
think we asked him like almost like a PhD question. We come with the verses, the commentaries. We come when this verse was revealed, what was happening with the Jews at this time. And he comes up with like kindergarten, like, in Islam, we have Quran and Hadith and chains. This is going to be my 10 episode series.
It's like when you just did the imitation. It was like Kamala Harris when she would be asked a question. Like there was a time when she was around all these scientists, and she starts going, "Science is how we learn things about." You're talking to a bunch of scientists, lady. Why are you talking to them like they're 3-year-olds? Anyway, so you're saying that's like that's kind of what Sajid is like. Yeah. So I never really paid much attention to Sajid. But we would sometimes watch his stuff when he's responding to other people and actually calling them out for being an embarrassment to Islam. And after we had the big situation with, well, even on the holes in the narrative interview, you had the holes in the narrative interview, and he was actually calling out Muhammad Hijab. Look at the damage you're doing. Look at the damage you're doing. But even there, it's like, well, all Muhammad Hijab did was make the truth come out a little bit. Now, it was by accident. That wasn't his intention. But he helped the truth come out a little bit. And Sajid was enraged about that. So you're thinking, oh, what does he want people to remain in ignorance and to believe lies? That's not good. But he at least had the wisdom of realizing, hey, this is going to be really bad for the ummah. So he saw that. And then later when later or earlier, I don't remember when, but when Hijab was going after everyone's wives, and we started eating the Quran to make him stop, and then he stopped and backed down like a little coward. Sajid was the one calling him out. In other words, he was focusing on Hijab. You're the one causing this. And so we're thinking, yes, exactly. Because it's an amazing situation where a dawa guy can say the most horrible things anyone has ever said, go after people's wives, threats, anything. And if you respond to them, the ummah starts going, oh my goodness, the Islamophobes are attacking us. It's like, why don't you guys ever pay attention to the cause of why we're responding in certain ways. These guys go after people's wives. They threaten people. And then we respond and you act like we're persecutors or something like that. Why are you like that? Whereas Sajid was actually calling out the causes of the behavior. Why are you guys causing these guys to act like that? Why are you putting these guys in a situation where in order to get you to stop your horrible behavior, they do things like this? Why are you doing like that? So all that, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, Sajid is significantly wiser and smarter than these other guys. This guy's got the hikmah. He's got the hikmah. So when he announced that he's responding to the Islamic Dilemma, I said, finally, we'll get some serious responses to the Islamic Dilemma. He's on video number 4 and hasn't addressed one word. Everything so far has been a smokescreen. And I have to say, everything seems massively deceptive. Like, it would be one thing if he posted in his first video. We know he's watching his stuff. We know he's watching our stuff because he's clearly like borderline quoting us. We're like Voldemort to him. We're the name that must not be named, even though we're the one he's always thinking about. So he's clearly watching our videos, which means he's seen the refutations of what he's saying, and he's saying it anyway. So this is bad because it means he's seriously deceptive. He's lying. He's lying about Christianity. He's lying about Islam. He's no longer in the, maybe he's just ignorant. Maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. Once you've been informed, then it becomes clear that you're just being deceptive. So he's deceptive. But 2, his responses are just stupid. I mean, they're like terrible, like beyond terrible, like significantly worse than someone who just goes, oh, Surah 279, Surah 279. It said they write the book with their own hands. Oh my goodness, see 279. His responses are worse than that. And so, yep, my opinion of Sajid has plummeted. On a different note with Sajid, though, what do you think? Because you're comparing him and Ali Dawa. You could toss in Muhammad Hijab there. Who's got the best? What is it? Tajweed? Is that it? I would guess Sajid because I've heard you guys make fun of the other guys. Is that what it's called? Tajweed? Their pronunciation?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, so Tajweed is like the specific, like when you're like singing the Quran. So we've heard.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've heard Muhammad Hijab do that.
He did it recently on his channel to get people to sympathize with him.
Yeah, when he's like the truth, and he's like the truth. There's a big clickbait video, and he was just reciting the Quran it was like one chapter for like 47 minutes long.
Full of mistakes, by the way.
Yeah. You had Arabs in the comments. They're like, dude, you missed this word, you missed that word, you missed this word.
Yeah, and I screenshotted all of them before that he deleted it.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, how stupid is that? And how it displays what he really thinks of the Ummah. Like he really thinks, and he's correct, but he understands that his followers are a bunch of complete morons. It's like, hey, Hijab, what are you doing with all these mutta wives and McDonald's marriages and hotel wives and stuff like this? And you lying to everyone. What's going on? Oh, alhamdulillah, so great, so wonderful. How could we doubt him? It's like, my goodness, what in the world?
Yeah. So, but in terms of like reading Arabic, though, I would say
Sajid is actually okay.
Yeah, he makes less mistakes than Muhammad Hijab, but Muhammad Hijab, like he has like more of like an Arab like pronunciation, but he makes more mistakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Sajid doesn't make as many mistakes, but he just doesn't sound as like native. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually basing my view, because I don't know Arabic, but I was basing it on every time you guys listen to Hijab, you start making fun of his Arabic, whereas I haven't seen you making fun of Sajid's Arabic, so I was like, oh, his pronunciation of stuff must be better or something like that.
Well, he avoids Arabic like the plague.
Yeah.
But ever since we said say it in Arabic, he's now putting Arabic in it. But I can tell he's been practicing, and he avoids big words on purpose and on the screen. So nice one, Sajid.
He's pulling a Muhammad Hijab. Oh, if I just start talking in Arabic, all my fans will be like, oh, he must be right. Oh boy, what a religion. Hatun.
Yes.
How's your?
He was suggesting people to have hikmah. It gave you impression that he had hikmah, but he doesn't have brain cells enough to think through things. He doesn't know how to do dawa. He doesn't know how to defend Islam. So no, he's just someone who is desperately needs Jesus.
That is the situation he's in. Matter of fact, now that Hatun mentions that, not knowing how to do dawa and this stuff, it is a serious issue that he's been attacking various da'is, rightly, mind you. He was right for that, but that makes enemies out of all the fans of those guys. And so who's left? Well, it's the people who kind of take it more seriously and aren't into the chest thumping and, oh, me strong than you, oh, me great ape. The people who aren't interested in that, who are interested in a more serious approach, and people like us who would be inclined to listen if he has a response to some argument we're using. But now he's ticking everyone else off by giving stupid responses and terrible responses and allowing us to expose the argument anymore. So it's like, who's he going to have in his corner at the end of the day? And you can actually see his views. You can see his views dropping.
He doesn't have that much Islamic dawa gangs to help him and support him, as well as he doesn't have people who can confront him because he went after almost all of them. So he just by himself. Anything helps him, he just goes for it.
Poor Sajid. And so now he's going to also right before we started, we were making predictions about how long he's going to be able to keep this up. I don't think he's going to be able to. I think he'll keep this up for a couple more videos and realize, because he's got the hikmah, he's going to realize this is not going the way he thought it would, right? So he's thinking he's going to step in and be the hero of the ummah. I will be the one to answer this argument and refute the Islamophobes. And instead, he's just convincing us even more than ever that there is no response to this argument. Because every dawa guy who says, I'm going to respond to this, I think, okay, maybe now we're going to get a response that makes some level of sense. And every time they do, it doesn't turn out that way. And so anyway, what's going to happen, guys, is, and I already pointed out in the last show, if he makes a video responding to the Islamic Dilemma without actually responding, and it gets 7,000 views, 6,000 views or something like that, and I make a video response and it gets 100,000 views or something like that, or we even do a live stream and it gets 30 or 40 or 50,000 views, keep in mind, this is not me like pulling rank and saying I get more views than you. That doesn't tell you who's got the truth on their side. There are people who are spouting complete nonsense who get way more views than I do. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're trying to convince people, if your goal when you're setting out is trying to convince people that this is a bad argument and that people need to abandon the argument, but every video you make just gets swamped by people exposing you as a liar, and way more people learn the argument and learn that you're being deceptive and trying to cover up the argument, you have to realize at some point this is not going well. I'm trying to dupe these 3,000 people into not taking this argument seriously, but every time I bring it up to these 3,000 people or 4,000 people, 5,000 people, 7,000 people, whatever, 100,000 people find out I'm lying. That's just terrible. That's a terrible approach. It's like it's the reverse of the 99-1 rule, right? Their goal is if I say something to 100 people, and 99 of them are just going to mindlessly believe what I want, and only one of them is going to actually look up what I say and realize I'm lying, it's in my best interest to keep lying. The more I lie, the more of a mob I build that can silence anyone who would question me. That's been the method of Islam since the time of Muhammad. But now if it becomes every time I respond to this, more people find out I'm a liar than mindlessly believe me. In other words, if it's a tiny minority of viewers that mindlessly believe whatever I'm saying, and most people see that I'm lying because it's being exposed, it's just not worth it. So we've reversed the 99-1 rule upon them, and they're doomed because that's all they had. They have Islam spreads by the sword, or it spreads with the 99-1 rule, taking advantage of people's ignorance. The ummah's too weak to spread by the sword. If they lose the 99-1 rule, that's it. Wow. Anything else before we get started on Sajid, or anything else so far? Any thoughts on anything he's put out so far?
Yeah, I think that Sajid, here's a suggestion, because we know that you watch these streams. We know that whenever your name's on the title, you watch, or you're in the thumbnail or something, you watch. So here's my suggestion. You want to get a lot of views and you want to bring people to what you think is the truth. Okay, this is what you do. Clip one of these live streams, clip one of the videos, something that we've done, us, other channels that have done, responding to you. Clip them and then give a rebuttal to them. And if you think you have the truth, and if you think that you can debunk something that's been said to you, like let's say, here's a verse, here's the interpretation of the verse, here's how we understand it, and you think that that's wrong, that you're going to go from like 7,000 to like 14,000 because you're going to see people are going to like, oh, you're actually interacting with people now. You're playing their clips, right? That's what I think. That's my prediction. If he were to do that, do I think he's going to do that? No,
he won't.
but that's my.
And if he does, he'll talk about something completely different.
Yeah, and we know he doesn't have the truth, but just saying it, just from his perspective, he thinks he does. Well, okay, then refute us.
And we have Mohammed Afridi back with another new account. Our Pakistani friend who always loves to threaten Hatun for some reason. Even when Hatun's not with us, he'll threaten us, kind of using Hatun. Like, I will do to you what I'm going to do to Hatun. It's just like randomly bring up Hatun. But this Pakistani dude seems obsessed with this happening.
Look what you did, Muhammad.
Look what you did again. He loves to do it. Isn't that weird? Like, what sort of Muslim wakes up and says, hey, let me go to people who eat the Quran regularly like it's nothing and get them to do it again? You got to think like, oh, it's weird, isn't it?
I hope you read that page before you are eating or chewing. If that is the clear verse, we are going to lose it now.
Oh, there are other clear verses.
Are you sure? I think that's very complicated to find a clear verse. That might be the one you are eating, David.
This time I didn't eat the whole page. I just took a good bite out of it.
Okay, we can check with it.
So we can still read the clear verses on there. Why you do that, Mohammed Afridi? Why you want to threaten people? And it's really easy to block your new account. It seems like it must take at least several minutes to make an account, right? To make a completely new account every time I block one. It seems like it must take several minutes, and yet it only takes me like a second or two to block someone. Anyway, doing a great job of how you spend your time, Mohammed Afridi. Let's take these first couple super chats here, and then we'll jump into Sajid's video where he's going to yet again
clarify.
He's going to once again not respond to the Islamic Dilemma in his fourth video responding to the Islamic Dilemma. Abraham Hart, people's opinions of Sajid has dropped. Do you know what else dropped? Mo's pants when he thought Diya al-Kalbi. That's true. What am I going to do? What can I say? Just wanted to say hi, David. Hey, how's it going? Giant DOC, love the profile pic.
Oh, thank you. We took your suggestions. We saw a lot of you guys wanted to see like an avatar or something up there. So there you go.
So we don't see what goes.
What did I say beforehand? You're like, hey, we want to use a picture because people are complaining. I said, who cares what did I say?
Who cares what people say?
Yeah. Yeah. If someone has a legitimate criticism, that's one thing. But when people just complain about random, I hear their voices and I think they're ghosts. Okay, well, I don't care what you think then, because that's stupid. But anyway, some people need the picture. Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't care, but Giant DOC cared. Say dawa with an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. I'm trying to think of a Schwarzenegger line that would actually fit with dawa, because his favorite is
I'll be back to do dawa.
I'll be back for dawa. I don't know how you do it. Come with me if you want to dawa. I'll be back for mubahala, bro. I don't know. I'm trying. Love the new icon, Giant DOC. Oh my, Ezra. The curls, Giant DOC. What shampoo is that?
Oh, yes, that's all natural.
It's the one, it's whatever Troy Polamalu uses in those commercials. You guys probably don't know about that in the UK. Mutahala. Spiders are the only web developers that like finding bugs. What is this weird stuff? That's the worst joke ever. Hello, David. Where can I find a Quran that uses pray for instead of blessings in verse 3356? I believe the Palmer translation does. And I think Robert in the translation in the Critical Quran has pray. Let me just double check that just to make sure I'm correct. Although I have a good track record of being correct. 3356. It's either Arbery or Palmer. I believe Palmer. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The Palmer translation says, verily God and his angels pray for the prophet. O ye who believe, pray for him and salute him with a salutation.
As well as Robert Spencer.
Yep, Robert Spencer. And
Probably Usama as well, right?
Yeah.
which one?
Usama Dakdok, probably as well, I imagine.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and so most of them either go with bless or send blessings upon or something like that. You know, it's interesting. I knew a Quran only Muslim. So your average Muslim, they understand that, you know, your salat, those are your prayers. And so when you find out that Allah is doing that, you have to say, oh, here the word means something different. I was talking to a Quran-only Muslim, and he took things in a completely different direction. He said he doesn't pray. He doesn't perform daily prayers, like talking to God. What he does is he blesses people in various ways. He blesses people in various ways. So he's not talking to God. He's sending blessings on people. And I say, why'd you do that? And he says, well, if the Quran is telling us to do salat and Allah does salat, then it can't mean pray, and therefore it has to mean send blessings. And therefore when it tells us to do that, that means we're sending blessings too. I was like, oh, interesting. So, hey, by the way, oh man,
What?
you realize what Sajid just did to himself?
Yes.
On this?
Yes, I do.
What?
Well,
Oh.
are you talking about how he equivocates on terms?
When he
Yeah,
said son of God means
how
one
he
thing?
demands univocity. A
Yes.
word must only mean one thing, no matter where it's used. Oh, did you see that, guys?
Yeah, we have it in our we got some slides for that one. We thought of that as well. He's gonna. There's a big problem with that. We like the one that you gave with Mother. We thought we'd add a couple more to that as well.
Yeah, but it applies to the Yusalli too.
Yes. So for you guys don't remember, Sajid was saying that, and I think he says it. Does he say it again? Yeah, he does.
It's
say it
in
again
this video too. Yeah, he makes
in
it.
this video too. So maybe we should. Do you want to? Well, it's up to you. But yeah, he definitely buried Allah here with this one.
Yeah, guys. So everyone who's watching, we're about to get to it, but we're going to get to it. But Sajid, when he's talking about Christians misinterpreting the Bible, misrepresenting the Bible, he says, "Oh, look, Adam is a son of God. Therefore, when Jesus says he's the son of God, it has to mean the same thing because words, you can't use words and phrases differently in different contexts." Now, that is absolutely insane to say that because the Bible itself shows how it's using these phrases and words differently in different contexts. It's clarified from the context. Sajid insists, no. Son can only mean one thing, ever, period. And so, we have some responses to that, but we just saw another one right here. If a word can only mean one thing ever, this is called univocity. One word can only have one meaning. Then guess what? When it says that Allah prays, you can't say, oh, it means sends blessings anymore. You can't just rant. You can't just say, oh, nope, this doesn't fit. I have to give it a different meaning here because it makes no sense. Do you know what prayer means? Do you know what prayer means, Sajid? If you do, you can't change the meaning. So he has to agree that Allah prays exactly like Muslims pray. So Allah's bowing down 5 times per day, calling out to whoever his God is. Thank you, Sajid.
Yeah, and we're gonna show how Muslim scholars, how they try to get around this problem when they see what does it mean when it's applied, like not just the word to pray, but what does this mean when it applies to humans? What does it mean when it applies to Allah? So they're assume like normal people would. They would know that words can mean different things in different contexts. But Sajid said, oh no, son of God can only mean one thing every time it's used. It can only mean one thing ever. It can't be anything else any other time. And it's like always, however he wants to define it.
And what these scholars say is not what Sajid says, by the way.
Yeah, should be fun.
On the Aisha, Mutta Aisha, so not the traditional Aisha, the Muhammad Hijab's hotel wife Aisha.
Oh, Behind Snails just came out with a new video. He just
really?
released one now.
He said
Yeah.
Oh,
Hijab used the AI voice for Aisha
Fake one.
huh. Interesting.
to say things she didn't say.
Huh. Interesting. Uh-oh. Hijab, you need another video you quoting the Quran, bro.
Yeah. The truth again.
Hey, did you see his video? I didn't see it, but he's like, India, you will not stop me. It's like every time he's caught in some horrible behavior, he either makes a video of him quoting the Quran or he claims to be the victim under attack by Elon Musk or India or something like that. Oh, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. What a clown
Well, what
show.
happened was India banned one of his videos, and you and Hatuna, you guys have both been banned. Like YouTube videos have been banned from like Pakistan and other countries, I'm sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tons.
So India banned his video that he did, and he's like,
They're scared of me.
You can't harm me. I'm my job. You can't. And everyone in the comments like, yeah, you're the champ.
Yeah, our champ, the dawa champ. We're brainwashed. Oh boy.
So whenever you get banned from Pakistan, you can,
do the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. On the Aisha, Mutta Aisha, if the sheikhs agree that what hijab did was permissible and allowed, what grounds would they have to say it's wrong? So if the sheikhs say, hey, what Muhammad hijab did was okay, what do you mean they say, how could they say it's wrong? You mean like Aisha and the Behind Veils group? You can have different sources. You can have different interpretations of the sources. I'm not sure how you'd say that he's wrong. Well, here's the thing. If they decide that she is right, well, if they put it this way, if they believe she's telling the truth, then the issue would be, is Muhammad hijab allowed to make all these promises about marriage and then not keep them? So that would be the issue there. But if they decide she's lying about that, then it's going to be no issue. If it's just Muhammad hijab had a second wife or something like that, they're not going to have they'll have zero problem with that. You guys have any thoughts on that? Anyone else?
Yeah.
I guess,
go ahead, sister. Yeah.
Issue is whether it's not like, as you said, it's not like is it allowed to have second wife or is it allowed to have misyar wife? She's claiming she entered the marriage in a sense, I am going to be the second wife. I'm gonna be like normal Surah 4 verse 3 or 4 wife. But it ended up soon after they did the nikah. He changed the conditions of contract. So council will decide whether that's allowed or not, because it is Islamically, they are not going to discuss whether misyar is okay or not. Is it allowed to you start the marriage as the second wife as the time goes on, or soon after the nikah, can you change the condition without full clarification or something? So sadly, Aisha has no ground to stand on it because she did love at the first hotel or something. It's not even love at the first sight.
But
I think this is a great example of when you have Islam saying something and the rulings of Islam, and then just someone's God-given conscience that knows that that's false and that's wrong and evil. So they know that this is wrong. They can't explain why Islamically, but they know that it's wrong. And I think this just goes to the fact that God's given them a conscience to where they can just have an intuition of right and wrong, or God has given them this, like, hey, look, they're like this little seed of truth saying, look, if you guys follow through with this, you're going to end up leaving Islam. Because if you think this is wrong, well, guess what? There's a reason why no scholars, no matter how many Islamic councils you go to, the Islamic Council of Europe, you want to go to Morocco, you want to go to this, that, no matter where you go, there's a reason why none of them are siding with you. And it's because it's allowed in Islam. But you bet you know that this is wrong. And the Quran even talks about this. It says there are some things that you think are good for you, or is it bad for you, but they're actually good for you or bad for you. Can't remember the exact wording, but yeah. So the Quran actually talks about that, and so it actually has like a little like tries to cover when your conscience goes against Islam, Allah's like yeah I got you guys covered here. It's like the small print, because some things you might think are good or you might think are bad, but they're actually not. They're the opposite. And so hopefully this will be something that God uses to take her out of Islam, and anyone else who's trying to get justice for her. And she almost is out of Islam, really, honestly. The only reason why she's showing like her past donations and things like that is because Muslims are threatening her. She's just trying to show like, hey, no, guys, look, I've been putting donations on through the years. I've been doing this. I've been contacting these groups, and I've been going to this dawa group, because she doesn't want to get her family, her and her child, like she don't want to be in danger. So she's trying to like show people that she, calling David and, Abdullah Samir, calling them like the devil and things like that. That's just a kind of for the Muslims. But, deep down, she still has these doubts. She really knows that Islam is not going to give her justice. And for her, Islam is, she's done with Islam. And that's what I think. So I hope and I pray that this will be something that God uses to take her out of Islam and into his arms.
That would be the main takeaway from all this, because I mean, at the end of the day, all these dawa guys are doing messed up stuff behind the scenes. That's not the issue. Their religion encourages this. What we'd want is for especially Muslim women, but really anyone, but especially Muslim women, to realize this is how we're being treated, and our religion justifies this, and we know this is wrong. We know this is not right. It's like what you're talking about, the Quran. It's the same thing that like Ali Dawa does on his show, The Bitter Truth. The entire show is basically let us convince these women on the show that when they feel like what we're doing is wrong, they're actually wrong, and shame on them. They need to be better Muslims. That's the purpose of the show. Hey, you ladies have a problem when we want second, third, fourth wives. You ladies have problems when we want to bang little 9-year-olds and stuff. You ladies have problems. You're the ones with the problem. You're not following Islam. You've been corrupted and polluted by Western society into having un-Islamic ideas. So we need to show you. We need to show you that you're the ones who are wrong. That's the purpose of the show. And Jai was pointing out that that's what the Quran does itself. You're wrong. You know that what is going on is wrong, but you're the one who's wrong because Allah says it's right.
Yep.
Muslim women are just being very selfish.
Yeah, that's what they tell them. You're being selfish. You're being selfish. Remember Ali Dawa. There are Muslim women who love their sisters, who will die with their sisters, but will not share their husbands with their sisters. What's wrong with these women? What's wrong with these Muslim women? Oh, what a religion. What a religion. This is the proof Jesus confirmed the Quran. Surah 354 is less than John 8:44. So 354, that's Allah's the best of deceivers. And that's Jesus saying that Satan is the father of lies. What else? Hi, David. Muslims are now using Surah An-Nisa 6. What do you mean now? They've been using that. Surah An-Nisa 6 to say that Islam doesn't permit underage marriage. Thoughts? We'll be addressing not that specific issue, but the general principle in this video. And Sajid's going to grant it, even though every video he makes, he's contradicting it. You interpret unclear verses in light of clear verses. You interpret unclear verses in light of clear verses. So if Surah 65 verse 4, clearly refers to marrying, having sex with, and divorcing girls all before the age of puberty. If Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl before she reached puberty, then you can't go to a verse of the Quran, then go to a commentary and find this and find that and say, oh, you see, this is saying this. You can't do it. You can do it, but that's meant for gullible people. It's not meant for people who actually understand Islam. You've got 14 centuries of Muslim scholars saying exactly what Surah 65 verse 4 meant. And you can't override that suddenly by just saying, well, if we go here and we connect that to the commentary, we can overrule the clear verse. No, you can't. You can't read something and say that Islam doesn't allow sex with prepubescent girls. Muhammad meets immigrant. Is that predator versus alien? What's wrong with you? Very rude. Giant DOC can pull a SIG or Thomas Apologia with mask and bandana around the mouth. Anyway, I like the new picture. Looks like a sweet couple.
Thank you.
It's not really us, you know that.
Yes, it's an actual photograph, ladies and gentlemen. Muta, Mubahala, and Madness on next Jerry Springer. That would be a funny show. We need a show like that. David, if things keep progressing like they are with the Islamic Dilemma, you could be out of a job by the end of the year. I know. It'd be funny if Dawa was just shut down and there's nothing left for any of us to do.
What would we do?
Switch over to atheism. Deal with atheists.
I'm just going to go fishing. Just going to spend the rest of my life fishing. Gonna get a little tiny boat. I don't need a big fancy boat. Little tiny boat and a fishing rod, some worms. Allah can't be a father, but little Aisha can be the mother of billions. Dilemma. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another one, by the way. That goes to what you're saying about the
Oh
mother.
yeah. I
How
wasn't even
mother
thinking of that.
sees-
Yeah.
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 So
His
multiple
wives are
uses
their
of
mothers.
mother. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
Aisha had a lot of kids. Who was she having kids with? Was this miraculous too? Like Mary?
It wasn't.
Or oh yeah, I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah.
And Ribera here says, if she's 9, she's mine. Yep, that is indeed Islam in a nutshell. All right, everyone, any other thoughts before we jump into Sajid's latest terrible, awful, horrible video?
Yeah, we're good. Here.
I think maybe it will be helpful if you just kind of say him thank you for proving our points to all the videos he's doing. This is his 4th video, and all he's done is proving the point there is Islamic dilemma, and he doesn't know how to handle it. So for that, I think he gets congratulations.
He gets a really, 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 really big congratulations. You are doing a bang-up job, Sajid. You just keep at it, buddy. Keep at it. You could do it, Sajid. You can do it. Oh, wow.
Little fish with little fish.
Yeah. Everyone understand? Everyone understand the issue. We say, hey, here's an argument. They can't respond to it. Then they pretend to respond to it without actually responding to it. And we're pointing out, we said you couldn't respond to it, and you still can't. That's life. That's the life of a die. Okay. Okay, here we go. We got Saajid Lipham in his 4th video responding to a very simple argument without responding to it.
So this is the 4th video in a series of videos responding to Christian apologists that are pushing something that they call the Islamic Dilemma. To summarize, in the first video, we basically said that if Christians were going to be consistent regarding their approach to the Quran, then they would have countless more Christian dilemmas to be worried about.
Let's see if he expands upon that. I want to respond. So since he's recapping, we should probably recap our thoughts on his responses, but let me just see if he goes on to the next one or if he actually explains what he just meant.
Where they interpret their verses to fit in with their theology, but then want to force a false interpretation upon the verses of the Quran. The second video was just giving.
Okay, so what were our thoughts on that? So his first video was about, well, you're saying that we have an Islamic dilemma because our book affirms the inspiration, preservation, authority of the previous scriptures, and yet our dawa clowns all lie and say that the previous scriptures have been corrupted. So you're saying we have a problem here, but you interpret all these clear verses of the Bible in light of your theology. We've already exposed that. We said, no, we're not saying we have a theology that human beings made up and we use that to overrule the clear teachings of Scripture. It's when you have a verse of the Bible that is open to multiple interpretations, as every verse Sajid brought up is, right? He goes to the verses where you have multiple interpretations and says, this is so clear, and yet they just take their theology and change the meaning. No, you go to a verse that is open to multiple interpretations if you completely ignore the surrounding context. And what do? We go to the surrounding context and we go to other verses of the Bible where the Bible is clearly addressing the issue and giving a clear interpretation. And we say, you interpret this ambiguous verse or this unclear verse in light of the unambiguous or clear verses. That's our methodology. And what's amazing is in the rest of this video, Sajid says that that's their methodology when it's the exact opposite of their methodology. Any thoughts on that point that Sajid was bringing up here from the past video?
His first response of it's the usual Muslim response. What about you?
Yeah. What about ism?
Yeah, it's so pathetic. Like, I've never spoken to a pastor and asked this question or that question, and he says, "What about the Hindu book? What about the Christian? What about the Muslim book? What about this book? What about that book?" I've never seen it. Only Muslims, when you present them an argument, do they say, "What about you?" And what about you usually falls on its face, but they're always saying that they're the best religion on earth. They're the best. They're better than all the Christians. So if they're better than all the Christians and Jews and everybody else, they can't use the whataboutism because they're meant to be higher level, remember? So they can't say, well, you do it too, so that makes it okay for us, because they're meant to be better, but they're not. And it's pathetic, and it needs to stop.
And it's just the entire approach is just false. There can be situations where a Christian accuses Islam of something, and the Muslim could just say, but what about you, and so on. Now, the reason that's a fallacy is if I say, hey, you stole something, man. You shouldn't be stealing something. You say, well, you stole something too. Okay, that doesn't change the fact that you just stole something. You need to answer for that. That's why it's considered a fallacy. The tu quoque fallacy. It's a fallacy because you're not actually accounting for what you've done or for what your position is or what argument you're using. So if I point out you have a problem, it doesn't fix your problem to say I've got a problem. That doesn't actually solve the issue. So if there's an argument against Islam, saying, well, I can use an argument against Christianity does not change the fact that there's this argument against Islam. But beyond that, how does Sajid answer it? What are we actually saying when we go to the Islamic Dilemma? We're saying we have dozens of verses that say the exact opposite of what you dawa guys say. And you can't show us one verse that actually agrees with you. You can't show us one single Quran verse that agrees with you. We can show dozens of Quran verses that refute you. So there's nowhere for you to go in the Quran, which means you're not getting your views from the Quran. You're just not. We point that out, and he said, and then the response is, but Christians, they go to the Bible and they've got clear verses and they insert their theology into there. Dude, we do not have this situation. We don't have a situation where we have dozens of Bible verses saying the exact opposite of what we believe, and there's no Bible verse that affirms what we believe. And so we're just making things up as we go along. That we don't have that situation, and nothing Sajid has said has shown that we have that situation. What is he doing? He's doing the same thing that Muslims do. He goes to an ambiguous verse, inserts the meaning, says it's clear, and ignores all the clear verses. And so this is just pathetic. It's just pathetic.
And by the way, this is something that people teach children. Like when their children are fighting, and one of them hits the other one.
What about my brother? Did the same thing yesterday.
He hit me first. Mm-hmm. He did it first. And two wrongs don't make a right. And you teach them a lesson. You learn this from as a kid. Just because someone did something wrong to you doesn't mean. So you don't deflect responsibility. You teach your children accountability. You say, hey, look. They might have hit you. That doesn't give you the right to hit them back, though, unless, maybe...
And I will deal with the other child later. I'm talking about you. Why did you steal the cookies?
Exactly. Why did you do this, right?
They have a Christian dilemmas, too.
Yeah. So this is something that, children learn. So Sajid, he knows this. He knows this is wrong. He knows this is fallacious, but he just can't help but engage in it. So Sajid, the takeaway is that you are being faced with a problem. This is a dilemma. This is called the Islamic Dilemma. And your response has only been, but Christians, I think you have a problem. Well, guess what? First of all, we don't have a problem. But second of all, even if we had a problem, that doesn't solve your problem.
Yeah, remember the other half of the dilemma? Even if the Bible is wrong, the Quran is still wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So what you going to do with that arm of the dilemma?
Mm-hmm. So,
also, it might be helpful to remember. It might be helpful to remember. Sajid is someone who studied Christian theology. He brought up in a church. When we go to the home groups in the church, how do we look at the Bible? We don't say, okay, today I've got these feelings. I want to come out from the Bible study by thinking, yeah, Jesus is the Son of God. Let me find those verses. No. We open the Bible, we read it, and then we ask very basic question. What does it say about God? What does it say about human? What is the problem? What is the solution? So we let scripture to speak by itself. So someone who went to Bible schools, someone who grew up in a church as a Christian, I think, I don't know, this is just beyond the levels. He doesn't even know very basics. Okay, I can say maybe he went to Bible school where Muslims were teaching him about the Bible. But he says he was a Christian, so when he was doing his own Bible reading, you don't bring your opinion. You come with the idea that because Bible says Bible is there to sufficient for everything. So Bible is there to override what I am thinking, what I am feeling, whatever my view is. Bible says so, I obey. That's how it is. I find it's very, very concerning for someone who comes from Christian background, someone who went to Bible schools and still thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to let my feelings to guide the Bible. That's just wrong.
And along those lines, do any of us believe Sajid when he said he really studied Christianity when he was a Christian and took all these classes on Christianity and developed a really great understanding of Christianity? Anyone here on our panel believe him when he says these things?
No.
He needs to get his money back. If he's done it, he needs to get his money back because he's not being taught well.
Yeah.
And I just want to be clear on something. So what Sister Tuna said just reminded me of something that if you think you can prove, for example, that according to the Bible, Christians shouldn't eat pork, guess what? If you think you can prove that, and you do prove that, guess what? No one on this panel would eat pork again. Because we don't try to fit our theology or our thoughts around the Bible. It's the opposite. So if you can prove to us the Bible says this, whatever he's about to say now, like he's about to go through a couple things, if you can prove that stuff from the Bible, well, guess what? Everyone who believes in the Bible is going to, if you can prove it, they're going to believe that. Well, guess what? What you're saying is false. The Bible doesn't teach that stuff. But that just goes to show that we don't put our theology above the Word of God. We don't say like, oh, our theology is more important, or like we have to follow that, abide by that more than what the Word of God says. No, if you can prove the Bible teaches something, then we, by God's grace, will follow that to the best of our ability.
Yeah. So in other words, Sajid, because this is, we're not just randomly bringing this up, guys. This is one of the issues Sajid brought up. He'll say, look, it says right here, don't eat pork, but then the Christians will think that they can eat pork. Why? Because they're just taking their theology. No, we're going to other verses of the Bible. The command to not eat pork, that was given to the children of Israel. And then children of Israel who enter into a new covenant, the question is, do they need to follow the commands of the old covenant if they adopt a new covenant? But then even apart from that, Gentiles were not under that covenant. And so you say, if Gentiles enter the new covenant, are Gentiles obligated to obey the commands of the old covenant? And that issue was brought up at an early church council in Acts 15, and they said no. There were certain examples along the lines of what Jai was pointing out in a previous video, that there are general moral things and so on that apply to everyone, that would even apply to Gentiles that are mentioned in the Old Testament. As far as the things that were specifically part of the covenant with the children of Israel, no, we're not under those. And Sajid says, oh, well, they're just picking and choosing using their theology. No, we're going to the Bible, Sajid. The Bible clarifies this. The Bible explains it. You're acting like the Bible doesn't explain it. We just randomly pick something that our theology, but going along the lines with what Jai was saying, if you showed us from the Bible that according to the Bible, we're supposed to follow that old covenant dietary restriction, what would happen? We'd follow it. We wouldn't say, oh, well, you showed us from the Bible, but we don't care about the Bible. We only care what our theology says. We wouldn't do that because we're not doing what you say. So here's the issue, everyone. Sajid knows that what he's doing is completely fallacious right now. He knows that whining about the Bible doesn't address the Islamic dilemma. So this is all a smokescreen. But two, beyond that, what he's saying about the Bible is just factually incorrect. We do not have this problem, guys. We do not have the problem that they have, where dozens of verses say the opposite of what they believe, and not one verse says what they believe. And then they just have to go with their later theologians who made stuff up. We don't have that situation. If we did have that situation and you pointed out to us, guys, there's nothing that agrees with you in the Bible and the entire Bible says you're wrong. If we believe in the Bible, we'd have to say, oh, well, we need to correct our theology then. If the entire Bible says we're wrong about our theology, we have to go with the Bible here. We're sitting here saying to Sajid, your entire Quran says you're wrong and that your theology is wrong. And he's saying, well, then I'm going to go with my theology then. He's throwing the book behind his back for a paltry price. What a religion. Hang on. I forgot. This was actually funny. When I asked you guys, does anyone believe Sajid? Does anyone believe Sajid when he says he's really studying Christianity and stuff? People started responding here. Where'd it go? There was a section where people started answering the question. And they said, so do we believe that Sajid really studied Christianity, was taking all these classes? The answer, no. Let's see. We
went to Hijab college.
No, have no. Yeah, maybe he went to Muhammad Hijab's dad's awesome school. We have no, no, no. Everyone agreeing on no. I'm looking for anyone who says, yes, I think Sajid is really, really well informed and honest and so on.
I'd love to know
But
the name of that seminary or church where he went. I'd love it.
yes, Sajid. We don't believe you, Sajid. We've got a problem. Namely, we don't believe you. But everyone said no. No one believes you. Okay, let's let him. So that was his first video. Terrible video, awful video, only compelling to people dumb enough to listen to pretty much anything Sajid says. In other words, anyone who's remotely critical of anything Sajid said would find that absolutely reprehensible. But here we go. Now he's going to summarize his next video.
A clear example of the misrepresentation of the Quran.
Let me back it up.
To be worried about. However, they interpret their verses to fit in with their theology, but then want to force a false interpretation upon the verses of the Quran. The second video is just giving a clear example of the misrepresentation of the Quran that some of these apologists use. And then the third video, folks.
Didn't go into that much, did he? So guys, the second video was when Wes Huff said it's a problem for the Quran that it denies the historical crucifixion of Jesus, when scholars across the board, conservative Christian scholars, liberal Christian scholars, atheist scholars, agnostic scholars, Jewish scholars, any scholar who's actually an expert in this field agrees Jesus died by crucifixion. Islam denies Jesus died by crucifixion. Therefore, Islam has a problem with history. Sajid made an entire video about how Wes was misrepresenting the Quran and lying. How? Because Wes somehow pretends that the Quran isn't aware of the fact that people do believe Jesus was crucified. Wes never said that. He never said one word about that. Sajid did his entire attack. And he's still saying, you see, Christians misrepresent the Quran. Christians lie about the Quran. He didn't lie. He didn't say what he said. He said the Quran denies the historical crucifixion of Jesus. The Quran does. It does deny it. According to the main interpretation, according to Sajid's own interpretation, the Quran does deny the historical crucifixion of Jesus. So Wes spoke the truth completely. Sajid is the one who's lying about what Wes said. And then after Sajid lies to his gullible fans, he now just applies that to Christians in general. Us, basically, us, people who are using the Islamic Dilemma. See, they're all doing this. They're all misrepresenting and lying about the Quran. That's what Christians do. When he's the one lying about Wes, he's the one lying about the Bible, he's the one lying about the Quran, he's the one lying. His theologians are the one who lie about the Quran. This is just amazing stuff, man.
But notice how he went to the crucifixion when our dilemma is not about what the Quran says about the crucifixion. We grant the Quran to say what it wants to say, but we say that it's inconsistent it's inconsistent with what Muslims believe today. That's all we're saying. We're actually granting the Quran to speak for itself. And we're not talking about the crucifixion. We're talking about that it says yes to our scripture. And there's nothing that says no to it except Muslims today.
Yeah, and Sajid's big his big defense is that Allah just fabricated the evidence. So Wes makes the point that everything in history tells us that Jesus was crucified, and to extension of that, also there's the resurrection as well. But he's saying that everything in history points to the crucifixion, and no one denies that. And Sajid's big defense is, well, Allah he fabricated the evidence. Allah just, he just framed, I don't know what the word is, but he planted the evidence. Yeah, he planted the evidence. And so then, if you guys haven't seen, your video was really funny about that, actually, because and then Wes made a comment as well, which is really funny too, which is that if you take that mentality or that perspective that Allah can just like plant evidence and make you think something that's not actually true, well, then how do you even know that this video is happening right now? How do you know Allah's just not just making it appear that this video is happening right now? There's just a big, evidence that Allah just fabricates and makes it seem like this is what's happening, but it's not actually happening. You have no foundation to know. It's kind of like that. What's that? That philosopher, the one of the demon.
Descartes.
Descartes, yeah, it's like Descartes' demon. Like, it's like, how do you? That's a law.
Mm-hmm. But he's
I might have to
from everything.
I might have to make a video about that.
Oh yeah.
No, I might have to make a video comparing Descartes' demon with
Allah.
Yeah, with Allah, because Descartes' view was if something is had the power and the will to deceive me at every waking moment? Is there anything I can nevertheless know anyway? And so he just goes through everything. If he's saying, if a demon were powerful enough to be deceiving me at every waking moment, could he even deceive me about like 2 + 2 and so on? Yeah. If he's powerful enough, then every time I go to add 2 + 2, he could trick me into getting the wrong answer. And I think it's 4, but it's actually something else. He's just powerful enough. And at the end, guys, that's when he, well, not at the end of this little section of his meditations on first philosophy, he concludes that no matter how powerful the demon is, it couldn't deceive him about his own existence. And so that it's actually a different work that has the most famous quote, "I think, therefore I am." It's like, if a demon is deceiving me, then I have to exist. If I'm thinking, then I have to exist. No matter what he's doing, I have to exist. And therefore, no matter how powerful a demon is, he couldn't deceive me about my own existence. And therefore, and then he starts from there and then starts trying to build up what else he could know. But that it might be fun to do meditations, but on meditations on, I don't know what to call it, some parallel, but like, okay, if once I grant that God is this omnipotent deceiver, as we find in the Quran, how would I know what to believe? Because even Abu Bakr couldn't figure that out. You know, that's why he said, if I had one foot in paradise, I would still fear Allah's deception. But it is this, by the way, who was that? Wasn't it Al-Razi, a Muslim commentator who actually objected to the standard Muslim interpretation of 4:157 by saying, guys, you can't interpret it that way. That means that Allah is telling us we can't even trust our own senses. And if we can't trust our own senses, how are we going to know anything? So we got to get away. We got to get rid of that interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, later on in Sajid's video, we have a commentary from Arazi related to what you just said. Not about the senses, but whether or not whether or not words have different meanings in different contexts related to that point. And Arazi, so he's good for a lot of these like counterpoints that these dawa guys bring up.
Sajid. He's been a naughty boy, Sajid.
Is on laying a foundation of where Islamic theology is derived and comparing that to Christian theology. Now, as we mentioned, Islamic theology is derived from the Quran, the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with the understanding of the companions. So,
bull. Your theology is derived from the dawa guy who lied to you, and no matter how many times we quote the Quran or your own prophet to you, you say, who cares what Allah says? Who cares what Muhammad says? All I care about is the dawa guy who lied to me. The same dawa guy who lied to me and said that the Quran has been perfectly preserved, dot for dot, letter for letter. What if you put the manuscripts in front of my face? I will not believe them. I will conclude that Allah is tricking me into believing these things, and the dawa guy is the real authority. What is this religion? It's a joke. This is a joke at this point.
Can you imagine a religion where Muhammad Hijab is the authority? Like, that's actually Islam. Mm-hmm. Like, Muhammad Hijab is he's the authority in the religion. It's crazy.
And we're still not talking about the dilemma. Every distraction method. We went to the crucifixion. We went to the Quran and Hadith and the basics of everything and the chains and all that, just to tiptoeing dancing around the subject. You know what? I'm not with Muhammad Hijab, but when he said some stuff about Sajid misrepresenting and not being the man, not being straightforward, not being direct, I'm sorry, Sajid. He might have had a point. I'm just saying.
Yep. Some of the critics, we were agreeing with your criticisms of the dawa guys, Sajid, but I'm starting to think that maybe they're right about you. Little opportunist. Was that Muhammad Hijab called you a little opportunist?
Yeah, and he is. Mm-hmm. Look, we're talking about him, right?
Yep. We were on your side, Sajid. Now it's going to be a lonely world once everyone abandons you.
Keeping that foundation in mind, today we are going to actually start looking at specific verses of the Quran and trying to make sure that we understand them properly. Today we're going to be focusing on the Quran being described as clear.
Oh, so not the Islamic Dilemma in your 4th Islamic Dilemma video? Imagine making
once we get to that one, it's going to have nothing. Okay. In the next video, I promise, guys, in the next video.
Okay, why are we talking about that the Quran is clear or unclear? What's that going to do with the dilemma?
Yeah.
Unless he's setting us up for the fact that he thinks he can prove that the verses that we appeal to are unclear, which I would love for him to.
Please. Please, Sajid, show us that the verses we're quoting are the unclear ones and that the ones you guys quote are the clear ones. Even though the ones you guys quote, you could go to your commentaries and see 27 different comments, 27 different meanings of it. Show us that those are the clear ones. Please, we're waiting. We know you're going to do it. Yeah, so that is why he's bringing this up. Because when he actually describes it wrong, because I went through this, he actually describes it wrong. He says, they start off by saying the Quran is clear, and here's our interpretation of this verse that it seems clear to us, and then we're clinging to that. No, we just take it for granted that if Allah says something in the Quran, that he means what he says. We quote that, and then when you guys say, oh, when he says this, he actually means the opposite, then we bring up, wait a minute, the Quran claims to be clear. If he claims to be clear, why would he say the opposite of what he actually means? It makes no sense. And then you guys have to explain why Allah is the worst communicator in all of history. So that's the actual progression here, Sajid. But he's gonna refute us and show what the Quran says about the Quran being clear.
But remember, we just real quick. Remember that we also talked about this as well. That we don't think the Quran is clear in a number of places, right?
That's true.
But this is one of the things that Allah is clear about, though, is this. And I really think that this is the case now that we're going through the Quran. And it's kind of like consciously in mind when we're reading it. It's that, yeah, this is like the beating argument of like the top argument of the Quran, that you believe in Muhammad because he confirms the Bible and the Bible confirms him. Like that's literally the main argument that the Quran says over and over and over and over and over again. So if Allah's not clear about that, then nothing is clear in the Quran. So what we're saying is that's clear. But I mean, when we talk about other parts of the Quran, like we were talking about 4:157, that's unclear. There's a whole bunch of unclear. We say that most of the Quran's unclear. But if you guys are claiming the Quran's clear, well, this is the most clear out of the clearest of the clear.
Yeah, so that's the real issue, guys. There are tons of Quran verses that are completely unclear. You have to go to commentaries. You go to commentaries, they'll give you a bunch of different interpretations. In other words, it wasn't even clear to the Muslim commentators. Our point here is, if the Quran is clear on anything, it's clear on the fact that it affirms the previous scriptures. Why? It says it over and 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 over again, and never says anything different. And so if you tell us that on this issue the Quran actually means the opposite of what it says, fine. Don't tell us the Quran is clear about anything. If the Quran is unclear about the thing it is most clear on, then we never know what Allah is saying. Don't tell us about your book. We do not believe that we would understand a book where nothing is clear and where the author of that book says the exact opposite of what he means. We do not know. We do not believe we could actually accurately understand that book. That's the issue, Sajid.
This is essentially the foundational argument that some Christian apologists use to superimpose their false understanding on verses by claiming that, well, the Quran says that it's clear, and when I read these verses, I understand them to mean this or that. But if that's not the correct understanding, then this means that the book is unclear. Hence, another Islamic dilemma. Yeah.
Again, just to recap, Sajid, you just said that what we do is we start off by quoting the Quran verses about the Quran being clear, and then we say, and here's our understanding of these verses. No, we quote what Allah says, and all we do is read. All we do is read. We say, here's what your God says. Here's what your God says. Here's what your God says. Here's what your prophet says. Here's what your God says. Here's what your prophet says. Here's what your God says. And here's what your prophet says. And then you guys say, no, they mean the exact opposite of what they say. And then we go, wait a minute. Why does the Quran claim to be clear? The Quran claims to be clear. If Allah means the opposite of what he says, then he's not clear. And then what do? You make a video about the Quran, whether the Quran is clear or not. But guess what? What's he going to do here? I see the Bible on the screen, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, no.
You see it?
Going to the Bible again.
I see the Bible on the screen. He's talking about whether the Quran is clear, and he's going to the Bible. Sajid is the new king of whataboutism.
I remember J. Smith used to say, I don't know if he still says it, but like, good defense is good good offense is good defense, or some good defense is good offense.
Yeah.
It's
The
something
best
like
No,
if someone is
it
attacking
depends.
you only.
It depends on what he means, because different people say it. So I don't know. You can tell me the correct version of what he's saying. Some people say the best or the best defense is a good offense, or some will say the best offense is a great defense, or depending.
So
The
if
first one.
someone is attacking your belief, best way to deal with it is you attack them back.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be the
Okay.
best
So
defense.
that's what
The
he's
best
doing.
defense is a good offense. Meaning, instead of defending, I'll just attack, and then you'll be focusing on the attack, and then you'll give up attacking me. Yeah, and then you have.
So that it works because. It works because that's what Islam teaches. Like Quran's structure is always attacking and attacking and attacking. So that's Sajid is doing. Before he came to like John chapter 19. It's too small for me to read it. I think that's John chapter 20.
Yeah.
So before he comes to John 20, he goes to the Quranic verse which says, Quran is very clear. But Allah says clear. Allah doesn't say clear and unclear is together. Allah says it is clear, and then that chapter finishes with everything is well detailed and well explained. So, and then in the same verse that Allah says Quran is clear, Muslim scholars are telling us, well, we don't know these magical letters. Allah knows best. Allah knows what the meaning of those things are. It just doesn't make sense to me. So what I'm hearing is, so far, this is only his fourth video that he's trying to deal with Islamic dilemma. He says, if the Quran is clear, he's supposed to be saying it confirms the Bible. If Quran is not clear, it contradicts its own teaching. Then what we have? Best thing is we are going to go after Bible, because that's all we can do. We've got no other option. Allah doesn't train them to have to do apologetics. You read the Bible, you get to see how individuals are defending the gospel in the Bible, how Paul is writing and then explaining to the people, standing in front of people and then teaching. Versus, you look at the Quran, oh, I don't know what to do, so let me just attack them, and then they will shut up, and then everyone will move on. Fourth video, and there is literally nothing. Like, I listened this like yesterday on the background of the live stream. I was just like, something important must be in it, but no, there was nothing important in it.
Doesn't look like Sajid has anything remotely resembling a response to the Islamic dilemma. But let me back this up a little bit. Yeah, and Hatun, you've pointed out in the past that there's an important issue going on, namely that Islam has always been obsessed with attacking. I'm not talking about physically attacking, although Islam has been obsessed with that too. But Islam is focused on polemics, attacking other ideologies. It's built into it. The Quran is filled with it. It's always attacking the polytheists, the Jews, the Christians. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're right. It's built into Islam to be attacking all these positions. But it's not built into the system to really be offering defenses of what they believe. So their natural tendency is just to attack and mock everything else. Whereas in Christianity, the main thing we're told is to always be able to defend our own beliefs. We're supposed to defend our own beliefs. And that presents kind of a problem, because you get a Christian and a Muslim start talking about things. It's been built into the Muslims' position to attack Christianity, and it's been built into the Christian's position to sit there and defend. And so what happens is, when that somehow switches, you have lots of Christians who don't like attacking, and will even tell, don't attack the Quran, don't attack Muhammad, don't do that, that's mean, right? But when it does happen, Christians can feel kind of awkward doing it, attacking Muhammad and attacking the Quran. But also, Muslims usually don't know how to defend. They just don't know how to defend these things. And so their inclination is, oh, we're being criticized here. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to defend this stuff. So let's just attack. Let's just go back and attack more. As that's kind of what's going on. Sajid is going into attack mode because he can't defend his own position. And so notice, guys, this is his 4th video. All 4 of his videos have been attacks. So he's attacking Wes Huff. He's attacking the Bible. He's attacking Christians. He's attacking Christianity. All that is attack. What has he done that actually defends against the Islamic dilemma? Not one word. Not one word. So we're kind of seeing it in front of our faces here. But let's see what he says about this Bible verse here.
Oh, yeah.
Book is unclear, hence another Islamic dilemma. Yet in the Bible, when it seems clear that Jesus is not God, but rather he worships God, saying things like, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God, that he himself is not God, but he worships God, would mean that he's not a literal son of God. Because if God...
Look what he just did there, guys. I just want to give everyone a quick example. We don't want to... Sajid seems like he's trying to sidetrack everyone from actually focusing on the Islamic dilemma by getting us to sit here and defend Christianity all day, so he never actually has to defend the Islamic dilemma. And I said in the last one, we'll go through this for a little while just to show what level of deceiver we're dealing with and how sloppy he is right here. But just on this example right here, what's he quoting? He's quoting John 20. And I'll give you a perfect example of what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. So John 20, verse 17, that's what he quotes. Jesus said, do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. And he says, look, he says right there, my Father and your Father, my God and your God. See, if God is the Father of Jesus and everyone, then when Jesus calls himself the Son, it's just the same as other people being the Son of God. When he says, my God and your God, this is clearly Jesus distinguishing himself from God. Now, my goodness, Sajid, did you read the book? Did you bother in all your deep dive into Christianity when you were a Christian and taking all these classes? Did you bother to read the book? We believe in this. I mean, it literally starts the book. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the first verse draws a distinction between the Father and the Son. And then it happens over and over again throughout the Gospel of John. But even that opening chapter, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Keep reading. It says that everything was created through the Word. And then you get to the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. So the Word, who was with God, with the Father, but who is also God, became flesh. And then he's living as a man, as a human being. And then what does he say here? I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Guess what? We agree with all of this. We don't say, oh, we're going to ignore that and just go with our theology. This is part of our theology. But as for you saying we just throw out the meaning of this verse to interpret it in light of our theology, and what do we keep saying? We say, can you just keep reading? Can you just keep reading? Do you bother to read the surrounding context? Why? Look, just a few verses later. So you got Jesus appears to his disciples. And then you have Jesus appears to Thomas. Now, Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, we have seen the Lord. But he said to them, unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were, put my hand into his side, I will not believe. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, peace be with you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here, see my hands, reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe. And what is he supposed to believe? Thomas answered him, my Lord and my God. He calls Jesus my Lord and my God. Just a few verses later after the passage where that Sajid quoted. So if Sajid is right, then when Thomas calls Jesus my Lord and my God, and for some reason you'll have Muslims, they say, no, he's just saying, oh my God. No, Jews did not say that. Jews did not use my Lord and my God as just to express excitement at something. He's calling Jesus my Lord and my God. And how does Jesus respond? By saying, "What are you doing? I just told Mary that the Father's God and I'm not." What happens? Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed." Believe what? So when he says, "Stop doubting and believe what? That Jesus is Lord and God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." So, guys, what did I quote? I quoted the exact same passage that Sajid quoted. All I did was keep reading. So Sajid's method, we've pointed this out before, he'll go to chapter 20, verse 17, insert the meaning that he wants, and ignore everything else in the Bible that refutes his interpretation. Guess what? That's how he interprets the Quran too. He goes to a verse, inserts the meaning that he wants, and ignores everything else that the Quran says. That's our criticism. That's our criticism of what he's doing. But he's saying we do that, and look right here. It says this, and they say that Jesus is the Son of God, and Sajid, all we do is keep reading. We're not quote mining, Sajid. You're quote mining. I don't even know what to do at this point. This is like beyond pathetic here.
He quotes the passage that shows Jesus
too
after
much.
resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
That quotes Jesus after resurrection when Muslims don't believe in resurrection. And he's where Jesus is showing signs of crucifixion on his body when Muslims don't believe in crucifixion. So if I were to believe that passage, Islam is wrong.
Yeah. And calling God Father.
Yeah.
When Allah's a father to no one. So this would refute Islam. This is amazing.
And he lied about us. He said we read it, we think it's clear to us, and we start to claim things. No, I read it, I think it's clear, yes. I go to Muslim commentaries, they tell me what they think, which is exactly what it's saying. Like in Surah 5, verse 43, go to the Torah. Why do you come to Muhammad? Go to the Torah. It has the judgment of Allah. Surah 5, verse 48, go to the gospel and judge by it. The commentaries say exactly the same. None of these commentaries say these are unclear verses and there are different interpretations.
That's another important point there, everyone. When he's saying Christians just come to the Quran, they give it the interpretation they want, so they can make this Islamic dilemma. DOC is just pointing out there, and the interpretations we're giving, we find those in your commentaries as well. It's your commentators who said the exact same thing we're stating. So how did they agree with our interpretation if we're just making up our interpretations to attack the Quran? Fun, wild stuff. All right. Back to Sajid here.
Can I point out something interesting? So last Sunday in the church calendar, it was the Doubting Thomas Sunday. So if he was a Christian, practiced Christianity, he didn't even need to think that much. It's the Doubting Thomas Sunday. So he would know, okay, even though my prophet couldn't read and write, I can read 10 extra verse and then come to the part where Thomas is identifying Jesus as his Lord and his God. But no. So that just like gives me double confirmation that if someone doesn't even know when is the Doubting Thomas Sunday, that's just, no, he had nothing to do with Christianity, let alone reading extra 10 verses. 11 verses, actually, sorry.
And I went to Oxford to study the Bible. Go. If you're gonna make stuff up, Sajid, just go all the way, man. Go all the way. Or should I say the Cambridge? What is it?
Cambridge Training College.
I went to Muhammad Hijab's dad's Cambridge Training College for Bible studies. Got to do something like that. All right, here we go.
God is also your father. And if the Lord also says Israel is my son, my firstborn, and that Adam is the son of God, then it seems clear that Jesus isn't a literal son of God, just like all of these other people just mentioned are not literal sons of God, and that Jesus, who fell on his face and prayed to God, saying, oh, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from.
Oh my goodness, Jesus prayed. We never heard this before. Oh my goodness, he's bringing this new information from all his studying that he did. What? Wait, what? Jesus talking about the Father and he's praying? Oh my goodness. Wait, did he eat too? Did he eat food? Oh my goodness, how would this be possible if he's God? We're so confused by this. Our theologians have never talked about this stuff. We don't know what to do. Thank you, Sajid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to illustrate this point a little bit. I have some verses that I want to share. I can put it on the screen that I'm already sharing, but I don't know if it's going to be what size. How are we going to do this?
It's too small.
No, it's not. Let's see.
Oh, we got it. Okay. So, okay, cool. All right. So check this out. Okay. I want to show something here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. All right, there we go. There we go. So let's just take these, make the font a little bit bigger. I want to show just the word Elohim, how it's used a couple different times in the Bible. So Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In Hebrew, it's Elohim. Okay, and Psalm 82, God stands in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. Okay, Elohim. So you have God there, and then he's judging among the Elohim. So clearly a distinction from God. Okay, then we have Exodus 20, verse 3. You should have no other gods, plural now, gods before me. Elohim, same word. Check this out. Exodus 4:16. God speaking to Moses. So he's saying Aaron shall be your spokesman. So God speaking to Moses. He shall be your spokesman to the people, and he himself shall be as a mouth for you, and you shall be to him as a God, the Elohim. Okay. Exodus 7:1. So the Lord said to Moses, see, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, Elohim, and Aaron, your brother, shall be your prophet. Now, when Jesus is called God, I have a couple other verses here that I wanted to show, but I'll skip over them. But when Jesus is called God, okay, we have to interpret these in context. Okay, when we see Psalm 82, for example, we know that that's not referring. God is judging amongst the congregation of the Elohim, right? And there's discussion about what that is. Are those human judges? Are they spiritual being, creature judges, angels? What are they? Well, we know that from the context that Elohim there is clearly not the creator God, and we know that when Moses is called God, that he's not being called the creator God. He's kind of representing God to the people. So the normative way that God speaks to the people is you have God, the prophet, the people. Well, because you have Aaron introduced here now, so it's going from God to Moses to Aaron to the people. So Moses is like acting in the place of God, and then it's going to the prophet Aaron, and then it's going to the people. So normally God, prophet, people. Well, this time it's going to God, Moses, prophet, people. So Moses is in the place of God there. So when we look at in Exodus as well, 20 verse 3, you shall have no other gods, foreign gods, Elohim before me. And then you look at how Jesus is called God. And you might think, okay, they're all called God, but this is what David was talking about earlier. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then he was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. So this is the context that Jesus is called God. Okay, we can see those other contexts where Elohim is used, and we can get the sense of what that means. But the context that Jesus called God is in the context of being the creator of all things. He's the creator of everything that exists. So just because you have the same word being used throughout, Elohim, 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 and obviously this is in Greek, so this is theos for John 1 here, but we have very clearly the definition of who God is, how God is, what is God, in what context are they being called God? Well, we know Moses is not being called the creator of the heavens and the earth, right? We know that in Psalm 82, this council, this congregation, they're not being called the creators of heaven and the earth. Surely Exodus 20, when God says, have no other Elohim before me, those false gods, surely they're not being called the creators of heaven and the earth. But when Jesus is called God, he's being called God, like in Genesis 1:1, the creator of heavens and the earth, the creator of all things. So same word being used, and context defines what it means. So this is just one example of many to explain to Sajid if he really is serious, he really wants to learn this. But if not, hopefully
it's above his pay grade. He thinks sun means the same everywhere.
And we have other examples too.
But anyway, that's for everyone else listening.
Yeah.
And so actually a very simple point there. And guys, think about the level we're discussing this at. Sajid, if you want to understand how a word is used, why don't you read it and read how it's used? That will tell you. So Sajid's, guys, if everyone missed it, Sajid's reasoning was, well, if Jesus is called the Son of God, but Adam is called the Son of God, it has to mean the same thing. And that's all Jesus is saying. And so two things. One, we're pointing out, it's very clear that Jesus and the Bible are claiming something very different about Jesus than is claimed about Adam or anyone else. That's very clear in the scripture. The other thing is the entire assumption that if a word or phrase is used here, it must mean the same thing over here. That's borderline insane. That's an insane position, as Jai just showed. If you wanted to use that principle and say, you'd have to say, oh, Elohim always means the same thing everywhere. Okay, well, that would mean here, when it's talking about the one true God, then over here, when it uses the exact same word to talk to false gods, or over here, when it uses the word for Moses, or over here, that it all means the same thing. It can't possibly mean the same thing. You'd have to be insane to think that it means the same thing, and that's what Sajid is telling his followers. Son of God here must mean the same thing that Son of God over there means. Let me just bring up a quick passage here. Two quick passages here. Look at what we have here. So when Jesus claims to be the Son, this is Matthew 11:27. He says, "All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him." So Jesus is claiming to be the Son, and no one knows the Father except the Son. The Son. Is he claiming to be the Son in the way that, oh, we're all children of God? It can't be. When Jesus talks about being the Son of God, he can't possibly mean that he's the Son of God in the sense that other people are the Son of God. Can't possibly mean that. Why? He's claiming a completely unique relationship. And again, most famous verse of any book anywhere in the world, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. What do you mean one and only Son? What do you mean? Sajid says they're sons. They're sons by the tons. What do you mean? Okay, it's clearly talking about the Son in a unique sense. This is the same book. This is John 3:16. There's the same book Sajid quoted to just say that Jesus, all he means when he calls himself the Son is what anyone might mean when they call themselves the Son. We're all children of God. We're all children of God. That is insanely stupid and sloppy. And then we have, just as another example here, so look at this. When Jesus is talking about being the Son, you get down to what he's talking about, the authority of the Son. And then they accuse him of breaking the Sabbath. Look at verse 18. For this reason, they tried all the more to kill him. Not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. They understood. This is the same book Sajid just quoted to say, no, Jesus just means that he's the Son of God like Adam is the Son of God. That's all he means. How did they understand what Jesus was saying? Oh, he's just saying we're all children of God. No, they said, in the way you're claiming to be the Son, that means you're calling God your own Father and you're making yourself equal with God. And then you have verse 19, which I've seen Muslims quote, and they don't even quote the entire verse. Jesus gave them this answer, very truly I tell you, the Son can do nothing by himself. You see, the Son can do nothing. He's completely helpless and powerless. Finish the verse. He can only do what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. So in whatever sense Jesus is the Son, it means he does the same things that the Father does. Can any normal just son of God in the sense, oh, we're children of God, say, we do the same thing that the Father does? No, that's God. What's that mean? Talking about the things that the Father does, like creation and judging the world and raising the dead at the resurrection and so on. Jesus says he does the same things. So he's claiming to be the Son in the sense that he does the exact same things the Father does. And look at the things he says. We won't go through the entire passage. I've got a video on this, but get down to verse 22. Moreover, the Father judges no one, but has entrusted all judgment to the Son, that all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. Why would you honor the Son just as you honor the Father? Guys, so Sajid, when you're saying, oh, this is just saying that, Adam's the son of God. Do you honor Adam the same way you honor the Father? When Israel is called the firstborn, do you honor Israel the same way you honor the Father, the same way you honor God? Does that make sense to you, Sajid? Okay, Jesus says you honor the Son just as you honor the Father. Does that make any sense given what you said? And this is the exact same book you're quoting, you liar. I don't even know what to do here. This is like so terrible. And then Jesus goes on to talk about how he's the one who raises the dead at the resurrection and so on. What are you doing, Sajid? You are flat out deceiving your viewers, and you know it at this point. You know it. You can't claim ignorance. We know you watch this stuff. And I'll just point out a little issue here. So this is for the Quran here. This is for the Quran. Sajid insists upon univocity. A word can only mean one thing, and anywhere you see that word, that's what it has to mean. Let's apply that real quick. So this is the Quran 575. Christ, the son of Mary, was no more than an apostle. Many were the apostles that passed away before him. His mother was a woman of truth. Who's his mother, Sajid? Who's his mother? Mary, right? So his mother was a woman of truth. What's that mean? What does mother mean there? Like biological mother, right? Okay, so that's all it can mean. That's all mother can mean. 692. And this is a book which we have sent down, bringing blessings and confirming the revelations which came before it. Wait, confirming the revelations that came before it. What is this? That thou mayest warn the mother of cities. The mother of cities. So there's a mother of cities that gave birth to all the cities of the world? It has to be biological, Sajid. It's got the word mother. The word mother can only mean one thing. That's the principle and standard you're applying to the Bible, right, Sajid, you little hypocrite? So mother of cities means that there is a mother of all the cities in the world. Interesting. That's good to know. Then we have when Moses came back to his people, angry and grieved, he said, evil is it that you have done in my place, in my absence. Did ye make haste to bring on the judgment of your Lord? He put down the tablet, seized his brother by the hair of his head, and dragged him to him. Aaron said, son of my mother. Mother, what does mother mean there? Biological, right? It has to be. It's the only thing it can mean. So there it means it's son of a mother in a biological sense. So that's the same thing with Jesus and Mary. So that's good to know. That means the same thing. And so that's double confirmation that mother of cities must mean that there's some woman that gives birth to cities. And then we have 1339, God doth blot out or confirm what he pleaseth. With him is the mother of the book. Oh my goodness, there's the mother of the book. So Sajid, mother means biological mother. It has to. Can't mean anything else, according to you, your brilliant presentation. Mother of the book would mean that there is a mother with Allah. Because keep in mind, it says with him. With Allah is the mother of the book. So there's Allah, and then there's the mother. Allah's with a mother who's giving birth to the book. And 2350, and we made the son of Mary and his mother as a sign. So we got mother again. This is what Giant DOC brought up earlier, 33.6. The prophet is closer to the believers than their own selves, and his wives are their mothers. Ooh. What's this, Sajid? It's biological, right? Muhammad's wives are the mothers of the believers. That's why you guys call them this. Mother means what? Biological. Mother, right? So Aisha is your mother in a biological sense. Aisha gave birth to your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. Only problem, Sajid, is Aisha never got pregnant from Muhammad. So who's the father? Is it miraculous, like with Mary and Jesus? Or did Aisha have sex with someone else and give birth ultimately to you? If you're a believer, she's your mother. The mother can only mean one thing, right, Sajid, in your brilliant method of interpretation? 42.7, thus we have sent by inspiration to thee an Arabic Quran that thou mayest warn the mother of cities. There you got mother of cities again, double confirmation. There is a woman who gives birth to entire cities. And 43.4, and verily it is in the mother of the book. So here again, double confirmation. We've got the mother of the book. In our presence. It's in Allah's presence. Oh, look, plural pronouns. So you've got multiple Allahs. Keep in mind, Sajid, the pronoun our, that usually means multiple people. It's used that way in the Quran. And so if Allah is using that pronoun, it can only mean one thing, plurality of persons, according to you. Your interpretation. That's what univocity gets you to. Sajid, how do you not understand that you're just making things up as you go along to avoid the Islamic dilemma? Everything you do, you're either lying about something or completely misrepresenting something or just making up principles of interpretation that are beyond stupid, and that if you took them seriously for a second, you'd have to say that there is a woman who gives birth to entire cities and a different woman who's with Allah and she gives birth to books. You wouldn't say that in a million years. You'd say, oh, okay, here's clearly what it means when it talks about the mother of Aaron and Moses and the mother of Jesus. That's used in one way. But it's clear that mother of the book, that means something different. And mother of cities, that has to be something different. Why? We're looking at the context. We're understanding these things in context. Why? Why would you deny like one of the most obvious principles of interpreting a text anywhere, ever? What is wrong with you? And everyone who's watching, do you see how insanely desperate they are? Do you see what level of panic they're in over the Islamic dilemma that they have to do this? This is insane. This is insane. This is what you have to do to even try to avoid the Islamic dilemma. Wild stuff. Did you guys want that on the screen?
You want to say something first?
Yeah, I was just going to say, he basically, let's busy these Christians just trying to defend their Bible by just blasting lots of attacks at them. Mm-hmm. And while we do that, they forget about the Islamic dilemma. Or the Muslims just, watch them defend, and then we forget the main thing. Like, it's so pathetic. And I've also noticed that he's being deceptive here in that he's pretending that our verses that we brought from the Quran are unclear verses. Mm-hmm. But he hadn't said it, obviously. He didn't say verse this, chapter this, verse this. But he's saying, don't listen to these Christians. Any verses they bring you from the Quran are unclear verses. And I dare you, Sajid, to say that outright. Because all the verses that we brought for the Islamic dilemma are as clear as when Allah says, I'm one. Or as clear as when he says, Muhammad is a messenger. Not one of your commentator or exegetes throughout 1400 years have ever labeled one of these verses about the Torah and the Gospel. Not one of them has he ever said these are unclear verses. And yet he wants to put a blanket on us. So anytime we quote a verse from the Quran, Muslims think, there must be one of the unclear verses. Do you see the deception? It's deception by hinting. And it's disgusting because he hasn't even quoted one verse that we said. And I challenge him to quote one verse where any commentator says it's unclear.
Yeah,
it's mutashabihat. He'll never see it.
It doesn't exist,
and that's what he's implying. And so so he's deceiving people about the Bible, deceiving people about the Quran, deceiving people about methodology, lying, and this is dawa. And we thought Sajid was different, and he's not at all. Levi here says, fix Giant DOC's avatar. Levi, no. Giant DOC are sending the avatar by their computer. If they want to show sources or something, they have to change it. I am not the. Dude, seriously. This is why I said don't do it, because they're going to complain no matter what, guys. They're going to complain no matter what. This is why I said don't even worry about it. People complain. They come to the live stream, like, fix this, and they have no idea how anything's working. They complain about stuff. Anyway.
I just want to say before, could you put the Bible up one more time? And just because one last verse I want to go to, John chapter 19, verse 7. Because I want to just for Son of God, I want to show Sajid that the Jews had this understanding that there was different senses in which someone could be the Son of God, and they didn't just think that Adam's son of God, Israel's the son of God, we're the sons of God. That it all just means the same thing. John 19 verse 7. Let's see.
There we go.
Check it out. What do the Jewish leaders insist here? We have a law, and according to that law, he must die. Why?
You think? Because he said that we have a law.
He claimed to be like Adam. Is that he claimed to be like Adam, or he claimed to be? Is that what they're saying? He claimed to be the son of God. So what does that mean? They obviously had the same understanding that we have, that David was just sharing, that we were sharing, which is that there's different senses of the term son of God. They weren't saying here, Adam is a son of God, and we're all sons of God. Because why would someone be put to death? Why would there be a law against someone claiming to be like, I'm a child of Adam, or I'm just like I'm one of God's righteous servants? Why would that be the case? Because they knew that there was a sense in which Jesus was claiming to be the Son of God, which is different than others. We are children by adoption. Jesus is a son by nature. He's the only one who has the same nature of the Father. Okay. So yeah, and then I just want to just share a couple of things here. On
your screen.
Yeah. Okay, so we thought this was another example in the Quran just to kind of really beat this.
Yeah, because he says words mean the exact same thing all the time, right?
Yeah.
Surah 33 verse 56, Yusallun, Allah and His angels pray upon the Prophet. The same thing, Surah 3 verse 39.
I think it's talking about Zechariah.
Zechariah, He was standing, Yusalli, praying. So the same way Zechariah prayed is the same way Allah prayed.
Yep, and the angels. Allah, the angels, the believers, and Zechariah. So Yeah,
One second, one
so
second. Want everyone to understand that because we've been through it a million times, so we know what we're talking about.
yeah.
But guys, so you have Surah 3, verse 39 there. So the angels, that's on the bottom. So the angels called him while he was standing in prayer in the chamber. Indeed, Allah gives you good tidings of John, confirming a word from Allah, and who will be honorable, abstaining from women, blah, 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 and a prophet from among the righteous. Standing in prayer, standing in prayer, standing in prayer. What's the word mean there? What's the word mean there? It means prayer. And then you guys point out you got the same word in 33:56, but it's what Allah is doing. So how do they translate it there? Indeed, Allah confers blessing upon the prophet. What? What? Confers blessing? What? It's prayer. It's
Same
Allah praise. Even Muhammad Hijab admits this means Allah praise. So the normal Muslim response would be, oh, when it says Allah praise, it means something else. It has to mean sends blessing because it's Allah and he can't pray. And what do? They just use their theology to change the meaning. But Sajid says you can't do that. A word has to mean one thing, nothing more, nothing less. A word means one thing. Okay, it means prayer. What's that mean? It means that Saajid Lipham agrees Allah praise.
Exactly.
No way around it, Sajid. Sorry. You're
And
a polytheist now, Sajid. Who's he praying? Who's he praying to? Unless you want to say he's praying to himself. Go ahead and break that down for us.
No, but Jesus can't pray to the Father, right?
yeah, but
No.
Allah
Because he's
can
God.
pray.
Because
Yeah.
he's God.
So we have a final example. In chapter 37, verse 12, there's the variant there where one says that Muhammad was shocked, amazed, surprised, and the other one is Allah saying he's shocked, amazed, surprised. Well, Arazi, in explaining that, he tries to give some examples and say, you know what? When these same exact words are applied to Allah, they have a different meaning than when they're applied to humans. And we just have a couple of examples here. This is just the translation from Arazi when he's trying to explain that away. When it says, isn't it a problem when you say Allah's surprised in that second reading, the other variant, the other Quran that says Allah is surprised? He's like, well, we have to understand it in a different way.
Yeah, so obviously he goes to all the problematic ones like the Yamkur, Allah schemes, Allah deceives, Allah is amazed, and also Allah's mocks or deceives, khida' or makr, because there are verses that say that very obviously, like sakhir Allahu minhum, Allah mocks them,
Yeah.
or wa huwa khadi'uhum, he is their deceiver.
Yep.
Khida' is even stronger than makr. And they're basically saying what applies to Allah doesn't apply to us.
Yep, the bottom part here says, and the scheming, which we translated makr as scheming here because there's another word that, like DOC just said, it's
Deception.
yeah, it means deception. So instead of putting them both as deception, we said scheming. Then mockery. So when scheming, deception, and mockery from Allah, when they're used of Allah, it says they're different than the state of when it's applied to the servants. And he doesn't explain, like, at least in this part, he doesn't explain what those differences are. He probably goes on because it's a really long commentary, but it's just to show, excuse me, that even the Muslim scholars, and we can, you guys can, we'll drop the screen here. So, oops, what did I do? Oh yeah. So just even the Muslim scholar knowledge that.
Hey, you wanted a robot voice, man. What'd you do?
Okay.
That's some sort of glitch in the program that I'm supposed to troubleshoot, but I suck at troubleshooting. Whenever they click on something, it turns people into a robot voice for some reason. Let's see. How'd that work? That work? You guys there? Hang on. I think I have to. Not to bring you guys in.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, I got to do it like that. All right. So now I'll go back there. See, guys, is it worth it? Is it worth putting the thing up on the screen? I'll set it. All right. So we ready to go back to.
Yeah, I think we beat that point to death. Hopefully Sajid gets it now.
And seriously, what's amazing, like I haven't gone and looked at the comments. I guarantee you the comments of his dumb, gullible followers are, wow, what a great point, Sajid. Yeah, you're really schooling these guys. Everything he's doing is smokescreen, deception, lying about the Bible, lying about the Quran, just completely making up the stupidest methodologies we can, like, that you could not consistently apply for a second. And this is Dawa, guys, and this is the guy we had great expectations for him. Great expectations. You're failing, Sajid. You're failing miserably. You're disappointing. You're a disappointment to us. A huge disappointment. Oh, boy. Let's go back to the video.
Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Seems clear that Jesus was not God or a literal son of God, but rather more like a prophet, a messenger who worshiped God and told others to worship God.
And we know this by cherry picking and ignoring all the verses that completely refute what I'm saying. My goodness.
However, all of these same Christian apologists will say, no, that's not the proper understanding. Even though that does seem clear, that's not the proper understanding. And to be fair, you know what some of them say? They say, well, our book doesn't claim to be clear, but the Quran does claim.
We go to the clear verses on these topics, Sajid. You never do, because you can't, because it would destroy you.
To be clear. So let's take a look at some of these verses about
finally, we're talking about the Quran in his video defending against the Islamic Dilemma. Okay, all right.
Of the Quran. Alif Lam Ra, tilka ayatul kitab al-mubin. Inna anzalnahu Quranan Arabiyan la'allakum taqilun. Alif Lam Ra, these are the verses of the clear book. Indeed, we have sent it down as an Arabic Quran that you might understand. And there are other verses in the Quran referring to it as being mubin. So Christians will say, well, the Quran says it's mubin. So if I read a verse and I understand it as something, then that's what it means. Otherwise, it's not clear and therefore there's a contradiction. Well, it's quite fascinating because as soon as you begin reading the Quran, you find that it mentions letters. Alif Lam Ra. And
Not clear.
Yeah, what do they mean? No, Sajid. We go to your commentaries and your scholars. We don't just sit and imagine what it means.
I'm just impressed by this rabbit trail. The Quran claims to be clear. Yeah. And what the Christians do is they assume that when it says it's clear, that the clear meaning of these verses are actually clear, not realizing they mean the opposite of what they say. But ha, did you know that when you go to the Quran, you start finding letters? Like,
nobody knows what those mean.
Dude?
That's an L for your religion, not for us.
It's got these letters in it, guys. Letters. So when a Christian tells you that your book says it's clear, just tell them, but the Quran has letters in it. Who knows what these mean? That's a great mystery.
So in the same verse that it says it's clear, it has those letters that no one knows what it means.
Isn't it amazing? It's got letters.
Do you think that's an L for us or you, Sajid?
It's got letters. See where he's going with this.
imagine anybody who's sincere, the first thing they're going to ask is, Alif Lam Ra, what is that? What does that mean?
Yes.
And we could spend an entire video just about that. But
and you would still have no clue what those mean, because we agree, Sajid, those aren't clear. Our position is that sometimes the Quran...
It is so clear that...
Yeah, it's so clear that we could, look at these three letters. I could do an entire series of videos going through 7,000 different interpretations of what these three letters mean. See how unclear the Quran is? We know, Sajid, we know there are things that are hopelessly unclear in the Quran. We grant that. What we're saying is sometimes the Quran seems to be really, really clear. And you're saying it's not even clear in those cases, which means it's not clear at all. In which case, why is he bragging about being clear? Why? And you're still not getting it.
He'd rather go through what Alif Lam Ra mean in an hour rather than go through the Islamic Dilemma.
Yeah. I have time to talk about this, but eventually I'll talk about the Islamic Dilemma in video number 75 on this series on the Islamic Dilemma.
To immediately derive from it is that this is a divine book, and if somebody is going to benefit from it, the very first thing that they have to do is humble themselves. This is a divine, miraculous book from our Creator, from Allah.
It's miraculously unclear. I mean, think, any book that has three letters in it must be from God. That makes it clear. Guys, he just said that. Look, it says right here, it's got three letters in it. This makes it clear that this is a divine book. He just said that to your faces. This makes it clear that it's a divine book. Therefore, when these Christians are saying,
you know what? I'm going to start starting all my sentences ABC.
This
Thus
proves
says
that DOC is a divine prophet of Islam.
Just random letters that nobody has any idea what they mean. And by the way, all those commentaries they end with, "And Allah knows Allah knows more." Well, only Allah knows.
You have to be sincere to understand what it means.
Yeah. That actually is when he said this other video, it was like a sincere message to. He has this thing about sincere, like only for the sincere people. Like, okay, Sajid, he's the one that's sincere, right?
Yeah.
That's what that's a picture he's trying to paint.
Yeah.
And he's trying to say we're not sincere.
Yeah,
because
we're
we're
not-
pointing out what the Quran says
Yeah,
and giving
shame on us.
commentaries. Yeah, well, I mean, how can we do that?
How dare we say it's clear?
So, yeah, he's the sincere
So
one.
you've got
Oh, good.
sorry. So you've got. I'm very sincere right now. Very, very sincere. So Surah 12 verse 1. Those magical letters is only known to Allah. No one else knows it, okay? Only Allah knows it. And only way I can understand it, I need to humble myself. So what do I need to do to humble myself besides willing to open up the Quran, read it, find the tafsir regarding that verse, read it again. Still, it doesn't make sense to me because that very clear, it says clear verse. I am hearing from that is like, okay, there is no mistake on it. It is not ambiguous. It is clear, but it still doesn't, it's not clear to me. And I really don't know what are the practical things I need to do to humble myself beside starting opening up the Quran. Actually, before opening up the Quran, I need to have the mindset, I am Muslim. I am agreeing anything comes out from the lips of Sajid. What else I can do to be humble? To understand this very word of Allah that is very clear.
And I mean, think about what he means by humbling ourselves. What he really means is
929.
yeah. Yeah,
Pay the jizya first,
we
then
need
you know.
we need to pay the jizya and be humbled, feel ourselves subdued. But I mean, think, guys, what does he mean that humble ourselves before this book?
I don't know.
It's when we go to the Quran and we find it claiming to be clear, and we find all these verses affirming the previous scriptures, we have to humble ourselves and just go with what modern dawa guys, literally the biggest bunch of liars we ever encountered in our entire life. And I'm someone who spent years in prison. These are the biggest liars I've ever encountered in my life. Just regular dawa guys. They are the biggest bunch of liars I've ever seen. We need to humble ourselves and just listen to them, even when they contradict Allah. And when we point out that they're contradicting Allah and say, hey, what are you doing here? And they go, but what about in the Bible? All you guys do is go to these clear verses and then just ignore them based on your theology. And we say, no, that's not what we do at all. And what we're just supposed to, we got to humble ourselves and just mindlessly accept anything Sajid, the compulsive liar, says. That's what he really means there. And that's what you need to do to avoid the Islamic dilemma. Everyone watching, isn't this informing you that this is a really good argument? They have no response to it. If this is Sajid's best attempt to respond to this.
Why should I humble myself to a book that it contradicts itself in the first line?
Yep.
Makes no sense. By the way, I saw a comment.
It's not,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hatem.
Go ahead, sister.
I was going to say, it's not only that you need to humble. It's not only that you need to humble yourself from the first verse with these 3 letters, but if you think about it, it is so clear and you need to humble yourself. Therefore, Muslims wrote tafsirs after tafsirs. You've got schools of thoughts. You've got Muslims are debating about it for 1,400 years. And then you've got YouTube sheikhs are saying, I will make another video about this. And still it's not clear. So none of the Muslim scholars were humble themselves. Tafsir authors did not humble themselves. YouTube sheikhs are not humbling themselves. And in here, Sajid turns up to us and then says, if you want to understand it, just humble yourself. Close your eyes, block your ears, and take your heart and brain out of your body. Come to the Quran, and then that's the humbling yourself so it will make sense to you.
And think about this, Sajid. One thing you have to understand is this is a divine book. It's like, okay, why should we believe this is a divine book? The only evidence you've given so far is it has letters in it, right? But suppose we don't grant that, since it says 3 letters here. This means it's a divine book. Suppose we don't grant that brilliant argument, and we say, why should we treat this like a divine book? It claims to be clear, but can't be understood except by some dawa guys and some later scholars. And we can't even go with your scholars because they actually agree with us on the interpretation of a bunch of these verses. And you're saying we're making this stuff up. It's like, dude, and you've got a book. It's so miraculous and so divine that your God just says the opposite of what he means. And then he needs later people to come along. He needs the biggest bunch of liars we've ever seen to come along and translate and explain what he really means and explain how he really means the opposite of what he says. That's how amazing and divine this book is. We don't accept that definition of what it means to be a divine book, Sajid. You have to prove that. In order for us to humble ourselves before this book as a divine book, you have to show us that it's divine, and all you're showing is that it's a giant mess. It's a giant mess and a joke. That's what it sounds like to us.
Yeah.
This is sickening and repulsive. Let me just take a couple super chats real quick to cleanse my mind of this idiotic nonsense. Muhammad Afridi can't cope that Hatun has more hikmah. That's true. And seriously, Muhammad Afridi, he is like weirdly obsessed. He's been doing this for probably over a year. Just, what about Hatun? What about Hatun? Hello from Italy, David. Hello, Stefano. Got a super sticker from Ida. Hey, Ida, how you doing? Tony says, in my opinion, the biggest Islamic dilemma is Jesus being their Jewish Messiah, who is only a messenger. Messiah is only a messenger born of a virgin. Yeah, they have no idea what it means to be Messiah in the Quran. Muhammad meets McDonald's Mutta marriage. Yep. I got an idea. I'm just going to roll up to a McDonald's, like the drive-thru, and say, can I get a Happy Meal for my wife? Can I get a Happy Meal for my wife? And can I get a McMutta marriage with extra mutta on that? And then I'm going to ask for a shake, and they're going to ask me whether I want chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. And I'm going to say, no, I want Sheikh Ronald McDonald out here to perform the nikah. I need the Happy Meal as my mahar. I see your point, but magic throughput. Yeah, that was from AP's debate. Free tummy. That's a good point. I want to eat extra treats. Can I use Sajid's method to find justification to do what I want in the Bible too? Fingers crossed. Yeah, you can do it. You can interpret, and using his method, you can literally interpret any text to mean anything you want. That's a problem. Anytime you have a methodology that can be used for anything ever, you got a problem. Fatih Zeki, hey, I think, is this a Muslim? Quran also abrogates 319, 2106, 381, clarifies 1664, 1689, 25, 1, and fulfills previous scriptures. Do not use 543 to 47. Consider jizya. We can't figure out if you're a troll or serious, because when you're quoting when you're quoting 2106 to say abrogation of previous scriptures and not abrogation of the Quran, you're going against everything. Just read the historical background of 2106. It was the surrounding unbelievers making fun of Muhammad's companions for believing Muhammad one day and then believing what he says a different day, and he contradicts himself. That was the historical background. This is not talking about the previous scriptures. But where was Diha al-Kalbi? We know where Diha al-Kalbi was. How does one approach a very woke council who are very complicit in turning a blind eye to abuse against mainly Christians, but rewarding violent groups who are oppressive? Well, I'd start by pointing that out to them if that's what they're doing. Give them examples. Kawan, is the Bible real? Yeah. I can't wait until we all get to have coffee in heaven with you all, remembering how many left the Islamic lies and got saved because of your work. Praise Jesus. Jesus is the only way, narrow gate. But what does it mean when he says he's the way? You know, there's a way over here that's the way to the grocery store. So that obviously means the same thing.
Oh, yeah, or Jesus saying that he's the door.
Yeah,
right?
See,
it's a literal door. Yeah. Whenever I bring up the Quran calls Allah the greatest deceiver to a Muslim, they say that the Arabic actually says Allah is the greatest planner. Is that true? How do I refute this?
Have a dictionary definition with you.
Yeah, there are a couple of good English-Arabic dictionaries where they actually do point out the meaning is deception, fraud, that kind of thing, like a negative sort of scheme, in like a negative connotation. So really, if it's just going to come down to you're saying this and he's saying that, we'll appeal to a dictionary. There's one called the it's the what's it's
لسان
the
العرب.
no, he doesn't know Arabic though.
Oh, okay.
He needs an English one. It's
Almani.
no. There's one the German one. Where's Mehar or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll like put in a comment or something below.
And failing that, you can go to Surah 7 verse 99, where it says, how can they feel safe from the makr of Allah? So if the makr is something not evil, why would you be asked to feel safe from it? Something evil. You can use the Quran to go against itself.
And another thing you can do is go to the context of the verses that call Allah the best of those who do makr. One of them, so it's been pointed out, 354. That's one of them. 355, if you go with the standard Muslim interpretation, 355 is about Jesus' crucifixion. And so there is a minority position that interprets 355 as affirming Jesus' death by crucifixion. But if you go with the standard Muslim interpretation, that is connected to 4157, which means that you've got 354, and the next verse, Allah would be deceiving people into believing that Jesus died. So right after you have Jesus. So focus on that. If you want to say, oh, it just means planning, well, why does it involve deception there? And also in chapter 8, where it calls Allah that, in chapter 8, Allah is once again deceiving, but here he's deceiving Muhammad and his followers. He wants them to go out to battle. He knows they're a bunch of cowards who won't go out to battle. And so he sends Muhammad he gives Muhammad a dream to convince him that there's not a lot of people showing up to the battle and that they can go out and win. And then they all come back, and then they actually get there and they're outnumbered. It's like, what's going on? Allah says he had to trick and deceive them. So yeah, go to the context as well.
By the way, that dictionary, Hans, H-A-N-S, and Weher, I think, W-E-H-R, H-A-N-S, space W-E-H-R, and it's the 4th edition, page 1076, and it defines it as to deceive, delude, cheat, dupe, gull, double cross, try to deceive. You should just be able to type in, if there's like a search bar, just type in M-K-R, and it should give you the hit for that.
Did you call that name Hans Where?
I'm not good with.
Stick to Semitic languages, Jai, because you're failing on the Germanic languages.
How do you say it?
Hans, like Hans. Hans, and then the W they have a V sound in German, so it'd be like Wer. Oh. Yeah, Hans Wer.
Okay.
Yeah. You're lucky AP's not watching, because he'd throw a tantrum. Even the Quran verses that say the Quran is clear and detailed about everything are unclear and lack detail. Crazy. The spiritual warfare is real. Yeah, they have to say that even the verses that say the Quran is clear are unclear. Are Muslims allergic to reading full Bible verses? They must be. And they're trained that way. You see, their dawa guys are training them to be like that. Dawa is textbook irrelevant conclusion refuted. Yeah. This is the proof. That's true. We know it's the proof. Quoting Quran turns you into a robot. The proof. That's true. I would assume a book would have letters. Words are made of letters. But it's got 3 letters. This is the proof that it is a divine book. Do my leather straps deceive me, or is it Allah? It's clear like a muddy pool. He said sins here, not sincere. Momo said he believes in the gospel and Torah, yet these liars won't. That's true. Hatun hears a clear verse. Horton hears a who. Ezra is the son of God. The moon split in 2. These are the miracles of fabrication. Attenborough voice. Classic. Take a shot every time a Muslim says miracle.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hatun.
I'm okay with all these clear verses. They're just so perfect.
I know. I don't know what else to do. Have looked into this Mahdi guide that appeared.
Yeah.
Claiming Jesus and Mo brothers and that he is the successor of all prophets. Yeah, we're familiar with that guy. Bro would definitely order a kid's meal for his wife. Definitely would. You'd figure Allah would know that Ezra wasn't worshipped by Jews or understand anything at all about the content of the Bible. That is, yeah, would make sense. And to Sajid, please turn to Christ. You're going to face God one day, and you have to know Islam is false if it has to lie this much. All the historical evidence shows Jesus died by crucifixion, and his disciples were willing to die for what they saw. Yeah, that is a good takeaway. It's like if you're a dawa guy and you have to lie like this, at some point you have to know you're making stuff up. And like, even if you're dumb and you don't know you're making stuff up, once it's been refuted and once it's in front of your face, you have to know, oh, I just said a bunch of complete nonsense. And if your religion forces you to do this, it should be telling you something about your religion, Sajid. It's very easy. Sajid, you were completely ignorant and gullible years ago. You believed some dawa guy who took advantage of your ignorance and gullibility. You converted to a religion. Now you're finding out that everything the dawa guy told you was a bunch of lies, and you're clinging to it and becoming and spreading the lies. So the lies are being exposed, and you're doubling down on all the lies and coming up with new lies to pile them on. It's like a guy who goes out and tells a lie, and then he gets caught on it, and then to cover up the lie, he has to tell more lies. That's what you sound like right now, and it's your religion that's forcing you into this. It's pathetic. All right, let's go back to Sajid here. Maybe my mind is clean enough again to listen to some of this nonsense. Let's see.
Memorized and recited book in history that transforms the lives of people and has throughout history.
Yeah,
it's divine revelation where Allah is telling us our purpose.
It transforms lives. It transforms lives. It makes us like this. Makes us just say, it's got 3 letters. Let's humble ourselves before the miracle and deny everything else it says.
Life, distinguishing between truth and falsehood, informing us of the hereafter, telling us about things that happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. So for anybody to
telling us that the sun sets in a muddy pool, how could Allah know this?
Approach this book in a way that is disrespectful and arrogant.
He just said, how can anyone approach this in a way that's disrespectful? Sajid, when Allah says he's affirming the previous books and you say he doesn't know what he's talking about, a dawa guy knows what he's talking about, he knows better than Allah, you're the one approaching this disrespectfully. We are approaching the Quran more respectfully than you are. And I eat your book and I approach it more respectfully than you do. What does that tell you about you? Don't tell us to respect your book when this is how you treat it.
And condescending immediately shows that they don't understand this book and they are surely not going to benefit from it. Not with an attitude like that.
That's true.
Which honestly I find sad, but to each his own. I'm not going to be asked about you. You're not going to be asked about me. But one thing's for sure, such people are not to be trusted in talking about this book. So from the very outset, when you read these letters, one should humble themselves and understand that this book is more than meets the eye.
You just said it again. When you read these 3 letters right here, I mean, just imagine 3 letters. Just imagine 3 letters. How could a book have 3? This is the new miracle of Islam. Right before it was.
No wonder why this guy was convinced by the perfect reservation argument. Like, this is what convinces. This is what he finds.
He's impressed by 3 letters.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, Jai. You be Sajid before he converted to Islam, and I'll be the dawa guy.
Okay.
Hey, Sajid, how you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, you need to convert to Islam.
Why?
Look right here. It's got 3 letters at the beginning of this chapter.
What?
Allahu Akbar.
3 letters?
Yeah. So now repeat after me. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
That's exactly what he did.
That's that. We just reenacted the conversion of Saajid Lipham, ladies and gentlemen.
He says we have a bad
But for the sake of not...
Yeah.
Well,
Good. Oh, go ahead, Hatun.
Oh.
I think Hatun's on like a several second delay because of something. I've been having that problem with AP too in our live streams where like he's hearing me say stuff like several seconds after I say it.
it is the genie. I can't do much about it. So you were asking Jai Apologetics to take his shahada because there are 3 letters. I was thinking, why there are 3 letters? Allah doesn't. Allah says like, do not say 3. Yet those 3 letters was good enough to convince Sajid to take his shahada. Just I see that as a miracle. He just expressed how Islam transforms people. So the brain got given to you, those brain cells like moving around and like circulating. The moment Islam comes, they take your brain out. And then I have no idea what they put it there, but your brain is not there anymore. So that's like miracle of transformation in Islam. It's so powerful. You just like think with something else, but clearly not the brain.
And that's what it means to humble yourself. You have to you have to humble yourself and and look at the Quran and say it's got 3 letters there, and therefore it's the word of Allah, and therefore only believe what the dawa guys say about it, and never under any circumstances believe what Allah says. That's Sajid's takeaway message. Thank you, Sajid. You're doing a bang up job, buddy.
Going on for hours. Let's move on to Tilka Ayatul Kitab al-Mubin. What is meant by al-Mubin? Well, when we want to understand something about Islam, we should refer to the scholars, those who have dedicated their lives
Not to Allah, go to the scholars.
to studying the Quran, the authentic Sunnah, the understanding of the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. So let's see what Tafsir Ibn Kathir says about these verses. Firstly, as for Alif Lam Ra, these are called
Just to be clear, everyone, even the clear verses, even the verses where Allah claims to be clear, those are not clear. You have to go to commentaries to understand these clear verses. Everyone getting this? He just said, hey, there are verses where the Quran claims to be clear. Go ahead, Hatun. You're on a delay, so you're going to hear this like 5 seconds from now. And you're saying that's you. That might not be you. That's that could be anything. That could be my computer. That could be this program. That could be the internet. That could be all kinds of things.
That's okay. So even for these clear verses, he is going whom? To scholars. And the screen is like from 600 years later after death of Muhammad. So he's turning to scholar who has been dead for like how many years? How many centuries? Okay, let that go. But what did Allah say to Muhammad if Muhammad is in a doubt? Did Allah say, turn to me? No. Did Allah say, check with Gabriel? No. Did Allah say, go to the scholars? No. Who do you go to? People of the book. So why he's not going to the people of the book as his prophet's supposed to be going? But he's going to the scholars who's been dead and who lived like centuries after Muhammad. I find that's very clear. Very clear.
But when Allah says that if you're in doubt, go to the people of the book, what he means is go to Ibn Kathir. Oh, wow.
Guess what Ibn Kathir says?
What's that?
Well, he's gonna read it. He'll read it. Sajid will read it. But
he says Mubin means clear.
Thank you, Ibn Kathir. We have no idea.
Huruf al-Muqatta'a. And right after Surah Al-Fatiha, the first surah of the Quran, the second surah, Surah Al-Baqarah, begins with these separated letters. So right from the very outset of the Quran, you read the opener and then you deal with these letters.
We got to deal with the letters, man. We got to deal with the letters.
In these books of tafsir, when other surahs begin with these separated letters, they will say that this is explained in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. So
everyone understanding how this relates to the Islamic dilemma?
I don't care about the separated letters.
Yeah,
man.
very clear.
Tell me about the verses.
the letters. It's the letters.
Can you is everyone watching this? This is like embarrassingly terrible. Hey, Sajid, you guys say our book's been corrupted. Your God and your prophet say our book haven't been corrupted. Can you please explain yourself? Yeah, let me tell you about the letters. Look at the letters here. Oh my goodness, I see them. Letter. What else do you need? This solves a problem. This is what you're getting. This is what you're getting, Sajid. Right? This is what you're getting. Right.
Hey, maybe we should do a response where we just like say like random letters, and that will really impress them.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
QWY.
Yeah, that'll be enough for him.
Hey, Sajid. Hey, I don't want to go here, man. I don't want to go here. But I'm laying it down as a rule, Sajid. Hey, Sajid, I'm laying this down as a rule. Every time you make a video responding to the Islamic dilemma and you do this and don't actually respond to the Islamic dilemma, there will be repercussions on your book. You've been warned.
You're
You've
going
been
to
warned.
as well.
Yeah, we got an L too.
You just got an L. Sajid, that's on you, buddy. If you've been answering the Islamic dilemma right now, we wouldn't be doing this. This is how annoying and deceptive you're being, that we're now treating you like we treat Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa. You are now in the Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa category in our minds. Right?
I'm going to get 3 letters for him to blow his mind. Like he will walk out of the Quran and then worship his
No way, Hatun. There is no way you're going to be able to make 3 letters.
I am building here.
Okay. Well, we'll listen to a little more of Sajid, and then Hatun's going to have 3 letters for us.
Hey, I think that you guys actually might be able to like hold the Quran hostage to get him to actually make a video about the because remember that he told Muhammad Hijab off for You know, he's like, hey, they're eating the Quran because of you. Like, you know, he was saying, like, you know, they're doing this because of you guys. So I think if you guys, you know, hold the Quran hostage and be like, hey, Sajid, if you don't respond, the Quran's
right.
going to get it.
All right, here we go. Saajid Lipham, we have your book. If you ever want to see your book alive and untorn again, you will offer a serious response to the Islamic dilemma and explain what these verses mean. You have 24 hours. Please help me, Sajid. Please help me. Do not. Shut up. 24 hours. All right.
All right.
Go reference that. But let's move on to this term al-mubin. Because what a lot of these Christian apologists do is they essentially imply that this word actually means simple, which in Arabic would be basit. It's as if they think that they don't.
We never said simple.
No.
Have we ever said simple?
What did we say? Clear.
Thank you.
Have to put forth any sort of effort in understanding the Quran. But what they're doing is they're following in the footsteps of other groups that have tried to misrepresent verses of the Quran, and that they'll say a statement of truth, but they will intend falsehood by it. Because the Quran is clear, but that doesn't mean that they are incapable of misrepresenting or misunderstanding it. Tafsir Ibn Kathir says that al-mubin means al-wadih, al-jali, that the Quran is clear, it's evident. الذي يفصح عن الأشياء المبهمة, that it expresses things that are ambiguous and explains them and clarifies them. And it was said,
Wait, what clarifies them?
The Quran.
The Quran explains and clarifies them. That's interesting because, I mean, he literally can't quote a verse about the Quran being clear without going to Ibn Kathir to clarify the book that clarifies itself.
Why did you translate the last two words but never said them, man? Is it because they're too hard for you?
We're reading along with him, and for some reason he read a few words, but then he like skipped over the last two words.
Yeah.
But he translated them, but he didn't read them for some reason.
Yeah, it's وَيُفَسِّرُهَا وَيُبَيِّنُهَا. And he details them and he clarifies them. That's what the Quran does. So where in all that did we lie? We didn't even go to this verse or anything. The verse says the Quran is clear, and Ibn Kathir says, yes, it's clear. Clear means detailing things and making them obvious. You don't say.
This is seriously, I mean, amazing. He's making entire videos that are saying basically nothing that responds to this issue. And it's his response is meant for stupid people. It's meant for people who are just going, oh, him saying words. Our book has letters. Letters mean that our book from God. Him saying stuff means he speak truth. We got 3 letters now?
Okay, we got an L.
Yeah.
H.
We got an H.
This is H. It doesn't look like H, but I can't. If Quran is not doing art, that's not my fault. That
does
H.
look like an H.
Yeah, it looks like an H.
That's supposed to be R. Alif.
Oh, that's an R.
Ram. That's R. And that's the L.
There you go, Sajid.
Yes,
3 letters, Sajid, and this is your proof that Hatun is a prophet, according to you. According to your brilliant reasoning, this proves that Hatun speaks the truth from God.
I can take them to McDonald's and then get the muta with them, or misyar wife or sheikh, whatever you are looking. I can arrange that as well. So I've got the powerful 3 letters.
Look what you're doing, Sajid. Pay attention to what you're doing. How long you want to keep this up? Our request is simple. If you're going to respond to the Islamic dilemma, how about, I don't know, responding to the Islamic dilemma? Because right now you're wasting our time and it's to the point where it's getting annoying. And all you're doing is deceiving people and lying about our book and lying to your followers and lying about your book, lying about our book. You're again, you're in the Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa category now. What's that, DOC?
I don't see how it helps to go to the Quran where it says it's clear and Ibn Kathir agrees it's clear. How does that help anything?
Yeah, what was he trying to accomplish there?
Yeah.
Hey, Allah's right for once. It is clear. I know from a commentator.
So what did Sajid do? Sajid just read the verse. Everybody understood except for the first 3 letters. Everybody understood what the verse was saying. And then his whole point was that you can't do that. His whole point was that you can't just read the Quran and come to your own understanding.
Well, that's what Ibn Kathir did.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, guys, this says that the Quran is clear. So let's go to the commentary now where the commentary says the Quran is clear.
And
so
it does.
What are you trying to...
And what we did, that's what we did too. your Quran said it confirms our Bible. I go to Ibn Kathir, it says the Quran confirms the Torah and the Gospel.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing again.
So
So how does that help anything?
Back to Sajid. Well,
down in Arabic لأن لغة العرب أفصح اللغات, because the Arabic language is the most eloquent of languages. وأبينها وأوسعها, it's the clearest and broadest of languages. وأكثرها تعدية للمعاني التي تقوم بالنفوس, and it's the most effective of languages conveying the meanings that reside within the souls, that resides within people. When we're talking about the Arabic Quran being clear, it's a type of clarity that the English language can't even convey. Its meanings can still, of course, be understood in other languages, but the Quran is a miracle and truly mubin in the Arabic language. As we've mentioned before, we approach the Quran holistic.
guys, there's a reason everyone's cracking up laughing right now. Do you understand how bad this is? It's you have all these verses of the Quran, and the clearest verses of the Quran somehow mean the exact opposite of what they say. And even when the Quran is talking about being clear, we have to go to commentaries to figure out what it's saying. But did you know the Arabic language is the most perfect vessel for conveying the truth? This is like beyond pathetic. He's like a dawa bot. He's been programmed to just regurgitate the Quran's great. It's got 3 letters right here. 3 letters means from God. This is the proof. This is the proof. And did you know? Quran claims to be clear. We go to commentaries. He says all these things. Oh, people think Allah means what he says. Well, this proves that they're being deceptive because Allah means the opposite of what he says. We know this through this perfect Arabic language. It's pathetic, guys. It's destroying brain cells. It's destroying brain cells right now. We got to keep on.
And by the way, when he's talking about Arabic's the most eloquent of all languages, well, guess what? The 3 letters that he doesn't know what they mean, they're in Arabic.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us what they mean?
What's the eloquence there?
Yeah, tell us about this eloquence. Oh my goodness! I mean, we could spend 17 shows on that, describing how brilliant this is. This is pathetic. Sajid, what I just want to point out what Sajid is doing, guys. Sajid, you're just taught to mindlessly praise anything, no matter how idiotic you sound. This is the greatest cup in the world. Oh my goodness, all scholars agree. This cup is so amazing. This cup is worth more than 1 trillion mountains of gold because of how great it is. Everyone knows this. This cup is the cup of all cups. Blue. Look at the perfect blue. Could the blue be any more perfect than this? And the amount it holds, it's the exact amount that David Wood needs of coffee every time he drinks. It's the greatest cup ever. Challenge any other cup you bring. Bring forth your witnesses that your cup is as good as this. I will reject your stupid argument because this cup, that's all you do, dude. It's a joke. You sound like a complete joke.
Yeah, I think we might need to retire Sajid. I mean, he's bad.
Yeah,
I mean, depending on what his next video is, I don't know. But guess what? The Islamic Dilemma works in Arabic too. This magic language of Arabic.
Yeah, tell us in Arabic, please.
We were just invited on a show because the Islamic Dilemma, it's known in the Arab world, but it's not as popular. And so we were just invited on a show, and people are watching these videos in English, and they're saying, "Hey, can you guys come on and do these like in Arabic with us?" We were just invited on a show. So Sajid, guess what?
It's just as big a problem in Arabic as it is in English.
Exactly.
I hate to say it to you.
In the magic language of Arabic, they're going to be, the Arabic world is going to be exposed more to the Islamic Dilemma as well. So in the magic language,
and the ones that are saying Arabic is the most eloquent, they all happen to be Arabs.
Yeah.
Which part of 3 letters did you guys not understand, Giant DOC? 3 letters.
So let us not forget what Allah said here. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات. It is He who has sent down to you, O Muhammad, the book. In it are verses that are precise. هن الكتاب.
Where are these precise verses?
They are the foundation of the book.
Where? What are they?
متشابه.
Because they're definitely not the dozens of verses where he says he's confirming the previous scriptures.
And others unspecific. So think about that. There are certain teachings in the Quran. They are the foundations. They are abundantly clear. These are the foundations of the book. However, there are some verses not as specific. So what's the proper holistic approach? To interpret the unspecific verses through the lens of the specific verses. You
got that from us. We're the ones who've been telling you that. So So Sajid, whenever you're bringing up, oh, look what they do in the Bible, they just go to these, they go to these clear verses and they throw them out to bring them in line with our theology. We point out, no, you're going to ambiguous verses. We go to the clear verses to interpret the unclear or the ambiguous in light of the clear and unambiguous. That's what we do with the Bible. That's what we do with the Quran. We're consistent. When we go to your Quran, we go to the dozens of verses where Allah affirms the inspiration, the preservation, and the authority of our scriptures. These are the clearest verses, and we're saying, what verses do you have that show something else? You have nothing except a couple of ambiguous verses. And then when we ask you to explain yourself, we say, here's my methodology, and it's the exact opposite of what you do, you lying hypocrite.
However,
And guess-
people whose heart
What's that?
And guess what the foundation of the book is?
I point out something.
The clear verses.
The pillars of his faith, the third one is to believe in Allah's books.
Oh yeah, the books. But
So
that
when
means
we-
you
when we-
believe in that. You believe that the books have been corrupted. That's what it means to believe in the books. Okay, well, I believe that the Quran's
The
been
books
corrupted.
meaning the Torah and the Gospel and the Quran. So they're actually foundational. These verses about our Bible.
Yeah, the very clear Quran. If you go to the commentaries, I think I was looking at like 8 different definitions. What does al Kitab mean? What does mother of the book? What does that even mean? Mother of the book. And you look at the commentaries. I'm not joking. I saw like 8 different definitions for what that means. So this very clear book, the scholars can't agree on what are the what does this even mean? The foundation or the mother of the book. What does that even mean? So yeah.
Oh, and by the way, even on that, so we're talking about mother being used in different ways in the Quran, which is obvious. But even the phrase "mother of the book" is used in different ways in the Muslim sources, because the way it's being used here is is you've got the clear verses. That's the mother of the book. But in the commentaries, he'll also refer to Surat Al-Fatiha as the mother of the book.
Yes.
And so that's the mother of the book. And so if you are Sajid, you say phrase mother of the book, just like son of God, can only mean one thing ever. Okay, then the mother of the book is the clear verses of the Quran, but the mother of the book is just Surat Al-Fatiha. So that means the only clear verses in the Quran are Surat Al-Fatiha, the beginning, and the rest of it is unclear, according to Sajid. Thank you, Sajid. With this is beyond terrible. Oh boy.
are insisting.
Can I point out something? Sorry. I know it's like gives you headache and painful stuff, but so he went to Surah. He went to Surah 2. Sorry, these 3 magical letters are in Surah 2, verse 1, and then he went to Surah 12, verse 1, to talk about these magical letters, and then he came to the conclusion, Quran is clear book. Not because Allah says so, but because Ibn Kathir tells us. And that's okay. And then now he comes to Surah 3 verse 7. It's too small, I can't read it, but I think it's Surah 3 verse 7.
That is.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
and then that verse says some verses are clear, some part is ambiguous, it's not clear. So, between Surah 2 verse 1 to Surah 3 verse 7, there are 293 verses. And minimum, just in Surah 8, there is minimum 8 verses Allah is screaming out that Quran comes to confirm the Bible. So what I am hearing is, even though Allah is screaming out in those verses that Quran comes to confirm the Bible, because that doesn't suit my Muslim brain, I'm going to bring up new interpretation, and let me introduce you something called, there are certain verses in the Quran, they are not very clear. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why was Allah 293 verses to say, okay, Bible is corrupted? Where was Allah? Why did he waited 293 verses to simply tell the world, I'm going to send some ambiguous verses, so don't get divided by what people are going to say. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, guys, everyone catch that. So we're supposed to read the Quran, and we start off and we go through Surah Al-Fatiha, and then we get to Surah 2, And then we read 3 amazing letters and we say, oh, 3 letters. This must be from God. This must be a divine book. Let's humble ourselves before this divine book. And then over and over again, so throughout Surah 2, you've got Allah saying, I'm confirming the previous scriptures. I'm confirming the previous scriptures. I'm confirming the previous scriptures. You get to verse 85 of that chapter, and he even says, if you do not believe in the entire book, I will send you to hell. You have to believe in all the book, not just parts. And then you keep going, and then every dawa guy's reading that going, what? They have to believe in all of their book? That makes no sense because their book's been corrupt. And then they keep reading and keep reading and keep reading, and then they get to Surah 3, and they read Surah 3, 3 to 4 even, and in Surah 3, verses 3 to 4, he says he's confirming the Torah and the gospel, but you get to verse 7, and he says, oh, they're unclear verses, and they go, ah, thank you. So all that time, Allah was saying how he's affirming the book and how he'll send people to hell if they don't believe in all of the book. We don't know what he meant by any of that stuff because of their unclear verses in the Quran. Thank you. Thank you, Allah, for giving us a way out. That's literally what he's doing, guys. It's literally what he's got on the screen. They're unclear verses.
Wait till he actually gets to the verses, if he ever does, and he finds out that they're not unclear according to the commentaries.
Yeah, they're all clear. But that means that all the other verses that before Surah 3 that says Muhammad is a prophet and that he got the Quran from Allah, are they all unclear too?
Yeah, we don't know what it means.
So we can't actually believe anything.
But the story behind this is actually really funny though.
Oh, like it's extremely funny. It's really it's like the 7th century version of what's going on right here. Go ahead. You want to break it down, Jai?
Yeah. Well, basically, Muhammad was So Muhammad was saying all these verses, and like you said, going around saying everything is clear, everything is clear, everything is clear. He's saying things like Allah has this word that, oh yeah, that's Jesus, by the way. Jesus is the word of Allah, and he's also a spirit as well. And then, you know, he's also speaking in like the plurals, like Allah saying we did this, we did that, we. Everything's all clear. And so then Muhammad gets questioned by some Christians from Najran, and they're like, wait a minute, so you're saying that Jesus is the word of Allah, right? Yeah, okay. And you're saying he's the spirit of Allah, right? And Allah also speaks in the plural as well. So what's going on here? And Muhammad just goes silent. I mean, there's more to it, but this is like the summary version. He goes silent.
He doesn't say royal we, does he?
No, he doesn't. He just goes silent on them. And then he comes back, and then like this is supposedly why the whole first 80 verses of chapter 3 were revealed supposedly because of this incident, and 3 verse 7 is in there. This is one of the reasons. This is one of the verses that Allah sent down to help him refute the Christians. So if the Christians were running the Islamic Dilemma on him back then Muhammad would have said those were unclear, but they were running other arguments on him.
But you know how even this verse, David, Surah 3 verse 7, refutes Sajid? Because it says, Kullun min indi rabbina. All of them are from our Lord, meaning all the books.
And, well, guys, everyone catching this? So one, DOC just pointed out, this refutes Sajid too. This verse that he's bringing up was made as an excuse for Christians wreaking havoc on Muhammad because he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he doesn't understand the implications of certain things he was teaching and so on. And so he had to make it a big excuse. Oh, yeah, I've been saying all along these verses are clear, but now these Christians are using these verses against me, so I have to change it. They're unclear. What's Sajid doing? We're going to verses that are clear, and then, maybe these aren't clear. These aren't clear verses. So he is doing one thing right, Islamically. He's coming up with excuses to get out of an embarrassing situation. Let's see. Maybe he's going to give something powerful here. We'll see.
Upon deviating from the truth, they do the complete opposite. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ زَيْغٌ. As for those in whose hearts is deviation from the truth, perversity, فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهُ. They will follow that of it which is unspecific. ابْتِغَاءَ الْفِتْنَةِ. Seeking what? Fitna. Seeking discord.
You guys catching this? We're the ones going with the unclear verses. We're the ones. I mean, Allah can say to the Jews, as he does in Surah 2, verse 85, do you only believe in parts of your book and not all of it? If you only believe in parts of your book and not all of it, I will send you to hell. He can say, as he does in Surah 5, verse 43, why are Jews coming to Muhammad for judgment? They've got the Torah. The Torah is their judge. He could say a few verses later, let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah revealed therein. He could say all these things. These are the unclear verses, according to Sajid. According to Sajid, these are unclear verses. What are the clear verses? We still don't know, because we're not aware of any clear verse in the Quran that tells us our scripture's been corrupted. But this is insane. This is insane.
وَابْتِغَاءَ تَأْوِيلِ, and seeking an interpretation that's suitable to them. So when Tafsir Ibn Kathir,
We're the ones who are seeking, just by reading the verses and saying, that's what it's obviously saying, we're the ones who are going with an interpretation that we just like to try and fit it in with our theology. Not him. Not him, saying that Allah means the opposite of what he says. This is pathetic.
commenting on this verse regarding the clear, specific, precise verses in comparison to the more ambiguous ones. He says, فَمَنْ رَدَّ مَا اشْتَبَهَ عَلَيْهِ إِلَى الْوَاضِحِ مِنْهُ, whoever refers the ambiguous back to the clear, وَحَكَّمَ مُحْكَمَهُ عَلَى مُتَشَابِهِهِ عِنْدَهُ, and judges the unclear in light of the clear, فَقَدْ اهْتَدَى, then such a person has been rightly guided. وَمَنْ عَكَسَ نَعْكَسَ, and whoever does the opposite, whoever inverts this process, whoever tries to judge the clear verses by the unclear, has gone astray. Sheikh Ibn...
He just went to the commentary, they say the same
Is he
thing.
drunk? Is he drunk? Like, is he drunk? Sajid, you're condemning yourself. You're doing exactly what this says, that you're an unbeliever according to this stuff, dude. You're the one ignoring the clear verses and saying go to the clear verses. I mean, saying you're going to the unclear verses to ignore what the clear verses say. You do that with the Bible, you do that with the Quran. And then when we say, what are you doing, dude? Then you go, hey, let me quote a commentary saying you have to go with the clear verses and use those to interpret the unclear verses, which is the opposite of what you do. And as you say you're going to do this, I don't even believe it at this point. You say you're eventually going to go through the verses that we use. What are you going to do? Those are the clearest verses in the Quran. There is no clearer verse that you can go to show that you are doing what you are commanded to do here. There is no clearer verse. Any verse you go to say, oh, the Bible's been corrupted, you're going to be going with some interpretation of some later Muslim, and we'll be able to show you 57 different other interpretations of it, which means it's not a clear verse. Dude, you just doomed yourself, which means you have to know that you're doomed, not just according to us, according to your own religion, you are doomed, dude. Mushrik, man. Total mushrik.
Uthaymin rahimahullah, in his explanation of these verses, he mentions the ayah, لَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا, that if this book was from other than Allah, you would find within it many contradictions. But
yeah, like constantly affirming a book that contradicts it?
Because this is a book from the All-Knowing, this is a miraculous book from Allah, it does not contain contradictions. And Shaykh ibn Uthaymin,
or it's full of contradictions, and yet it's not filled with contradictions at all. See, it's a miracle. It's a divine book. It's got 3 letters.
he mentions that if somebody does seem to perceive a contradiction in this book.
What's that, Hatun?
I was just saying, you need to humble yourself. You are not humbled enough.
We've got to be humbled. We've got to be humbled so we can understand. The 3 letters, man.
There are 4 reasons. He says, إِمَّا لِقُصُورٍ فِي الْعِلْمِ, it is either due to a deficiency in knowledge, أو قصور في الفهم, or a deficiency in understanding, أو تقصير في التدبر, or a deficiency, negligence in reflection, contemplation, أو سوء ظن, or a bad suspicion and ill intention. And I would say all of these Christian apologists fall under all 4 categories.
We fall under all 4 categories because they keep going to these clearest verses in the Quran and saying, look, why does Allah say over and over and over again like a beating drum that he affirms the previous scriptures when he means the opposite? How stupid can they be? How stupid can they be to think that Allah means what he says and doesn't mean the opposite? What are they're clearly biased. They're clearly ignorant. They don't understand how Islam works. They don't understand. They're ignorant. They're being deceptive. This is bad, man. This is bad. Dude. You're a bigger kafir than we are according to your book, dude.
To clarify, I'm not talking about all Christians. I'm not talking about all Christian apologists. I'm talking about very specific...
Only the ones who read the Quran and realize what it says. Those are the ones I'm talking to.
Ones who have admitted their ill intentions, who have made their lack of understanding blatantly obvious. And they do exactly what has been described in this ayah. They try to undermine the clear foundations of the book and focus on a selective few that they misinterpret to fit their desire.
Prove it. Prove it, dude.
Yep.
Sajid, we'll offer you the chance again. Join us live. Again, bring any scholar you want. Bring the greatest scholar, your favorite scholar on the planet. Bring him with you. Bring him with you so that you can't say, oh, we caught you off guard on something. Bring the greatest scholar you want, and we'll just go back and forth. We'll bring up a verse, we'll read it. You bring up a verse, we'll read it. And we'll discuss the meaning. And obviously, if we're the ones who are just going with unclear, ambiguous verses, and you've got the clear stuff, you're going to win. You'll wear us down. We'll get a couple verses in, then we're going to run out of verses. But you're just going to be piling on the verses, these clear verses. It's simple, right? You can refute us. We're giving you the opportunity to refute us and just completely destroy the Islamic dilemma. And I'll say, Sajid, if you just destroy the Islamic dilemma in this way, and you show us that the clearest verses of the Quran are claiming that our scripture has been corrupted, and that we're only going to ambiguous verses, they're not clear. If you show us that, I'll stop using the argument. Are you going to do it? No. And we know why you're not going to do it. At this point, you know you have no response to this argument. Every video you post is basically showing you have no response to the argument. So we know you're going to back down. We know that you know that there's no response to this argument. We know it. And so all you're trying to do now is dupe people. But again, how can you consider yourself a Muslim when you don't even believe it? I don't know. Let's let him finish. This is getting old.
And tried to say that all of those clear foundational verses are wrong because of their misinterpretation of a few. And if we go back to Tafsir Ibn Kathir, he has a quote of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Remember we stressed the understanding of the companions? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu is known for his knowledge of the Quran. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua.
The same Ibn Abbas who said that all the books are preserved. Huh, weird.
Exactly.
For him,
That same
saying
one.
Allahumma.
Huh? What's that?
Yeah, that same one.
In his
Oh, that one.
favorite in his favorite interpretation, in his favorite tafsir Ibn Kathir, Surah 3, verse 78.
Interesting.
Faqihu fid din. Saying, oh Allah, give him knowledge, give him understanding of the religion. Make him a learned scholar of Islam. So Tafsir Ibn Kathir quotes Ibn Abbas in explaining what is referred to as al-muhkamat, the clear, precise verses. From what he mentions is this ayah from the Quran. Allah says, قُلْ تَعَالَوْا. Say, come, أَتْلُ مَا حَرَّمَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَيْكُمْ. I will recite what your Lord has prohibited you. And لَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. That you do not.
Just want to remind everyone, this is his response to the Islamic dilemma. If you're sitting here going, why are we almost at the end of this fourth video at the Islamic dilemma and he's just randomly babbling about stuff? Guess what? That is persuasive to a small amount of people who aren't paying attention to what you're saying. They just hear you saying, haha, I'm destroying them. I'm humiliating them. He's not thumping his chest the way Hijab does. He's doing the exact same thing Hijab does. All of dawa is pretending to answer things and not actually answering them. That's what dawa is at this point.
Associate partners with him. That you do not commit shirk. You do not worship other than him. And this, of course, is the very clear foundation of Islam.
It's clear?
The very clear foundation of the Quran. Worship Allah alone. Don't worship an idol. Don't even worship the beloved.
Sajid, why would we believe Allah when he says that when in every verse we quote, you say he means the opposite of what he says? Do you not see the problem? The same God who says, don't associate partners with him, also says, don't reject parts of your book. If you do, I'll send you to hell. The same God who says, if you associate partners with him, he'll send you to hell, is the same God who says, if you don't believe in all of your book and you only believe in parts of the book, he'll send you to hell. So when we go to the verse where he says, if you only believe in parts of your book, he'll send you to hell, and you say, yeah, he's telling you, believe in parts of the book. Okay, well then when he says, if you associate partners with him, he'll send you to hell, he obviously means you should associate partners with him. Obviously, given your method of interpretation. How are you not getting this? A 4-year-old could understand this, Sajid. Somehow, dawa does something to your brain where you lack the basic comprehension ability and, dare I say, hikmah of a 4-year-old.
And messenger of Allah, Isa, Jesus, the son of Mary. Worship Allah alone. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And be good to your parents. وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ مِنْ إِمْلَاقٍ. And don't kill your children out of poverty. نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ.
Maybe he means kill your children, since he means the opposite of what he says, Sajid. Thank you.
وَإِيَّاهُمْ. We provide for you and for them. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الْفَوَاحِشِ. And don't approach immoralities.
He means approach immoralities, because Allah means the opposite of what he says. Remember, Sajid?
ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنْ. Whether it be apparent and open or hidden and concealed. وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا النَّفْسِ. And do not kill a soul. الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. that Allah has forbidden to be killed except by legal right.
Now, see, everyone, I'm saying words. I must be refuting your argument. I'm saying words. I'm saying words, and I'm posting lots of videos, and I'm saying words, and I'm saying words. Therefore, I must be refuting them.
But that's exactly what we were doing. How he was sat and reading, we were also sat and reading. And it was just as clear as that. How does he know that that verse is not mutashabih, that verse is not unclear or clear? We don't have a list of either one. And the ones we were reading were very clear, even according to his own interpretations and tafsirs.
Yeah, Sajid, where's the authoritative list from Allah and your prophet saying which verses are clear and which verses are unclear? We want the authoritative list.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have one? Yeah.
Chapter and verse, please.
Chapter and verse. Give us the complete list and show us that all the verses that we quote are on the unclear list. We're on the naughty list.
By the way, speaking about Ibn Abbas, because he mentioned him and he said, like, you know, he has this special role in Islam to interpret the Quran. Well, guess what? One of the interpretations that he gave was that the clear verses are the verses. Well, I'll start with this. The unclear verses are the abrogated verses, and the clear verses are the ones that abrogate those verses. So he understood it to mean abrogated and the ones doing the abrogation. Well, guess what? None of the verses we quote are abrogated.
Nope.
And so it doesn't. So even if he wants to go by Ibn Abbas, it doesn't fit into those categories. Abrogated verses, unclear verses. The ones doing the abrogating, the clear verses. Right? That's Ibn Abbas, the one who he says has this special understanding of the Quran. Well, guess what? He didn't say that the verses we appeal to are unclear. He's talking about verses. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just thinking at this point, it seems what Sajid is doing is something I've seen from lots of just, you know, random dawa fans and so on over the years. They just think that if they just keep talking, they'll wear you down and you'll get sick of responding, and then they can claim victory. Right? Like, I think he's thinking, hey, if I just make 75 videos about this, and they're eventually going to give up, and then I'll say, ha, you see, they gave up. We're not giving up, Sajid. We've dedicated this entire year to going through the Islamic dilemma. We've dedicated this year. Post another video. We're going to respond to it. Post another video. You're not wearing us down. So maybe you'll eventually get to something that comes within a trillion miles of trying to answer the Islamic dilemma. But right now, this ain't it, sport. But let's let him go ahead and finish this non-point he's making in his non-response to the Islamic dilemma.
لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. This has he instructed you that you may use reason. So this whole...
Are you... I actually want to let him keep talking and stuff, but he's quoting stuff about using reason. What does he mean by reason? He means, oh, well, 3 letters. Oh, my goodness. I have to just turn off. I just have to believe everything this book says, except when it says something I disagree with. Then I go to...
argument that some Christian apologists have become obsessed with. The quote-unquote Islamic dilemma. It all relies on the misrepresentation of verses that go against everything we've presented today, everything we've presented in previous videos. And we've mentioned that one of the most baffling things about all of it is they use completely different standards when it comes to their book and their religion. Inshallah, in the next video, we will look at another verse that is often quoted by such people.
Another verse? We're going to look at another verse? Oh. And hey, do you guys think it'll actually be about the Islamic dilemma this time?
No, because he's just saying it's another verse that's used by these people. He's not
that's
saying
what I mean.
anything about it's the Islamic dilemma or anything like that.
I haven't heard the word Torah or gospel. I haven't heard those words from his mouth.
This is like beyond
and the Islamic
terrible.
dilemma is about the Torah and the gospel. I don't know how he's quoting a verse about not killing a soul and all that as anything to do. I agree we shouldn't kill a soul. So what? I'm talking about the Torah and the gospel being confirmed in the Quran.
And he's saying we're misrepresenting verses. Well, hey, Sajid, why don't you give us an example of that? 4157 wasn't part of our argument, and no one misrepresented it. Okay? So what's the example of us misrepresenting verses?
And Surah 3 verse 7 was not one of the verses we presented. I don't know why you went there. And Surah, the other one, Surah Al-Araf, verse 1, is not one of the verses we presented. The whole thing was just doing a khutbah, sermon about something else.
Yeah.
So does everyone see what Sajid is doing? One, he's trying to wear us down. Hey, if I just keep making video after video after video, eventually they give up, and I can say, you see, they're not answering my powerful refutation. That, and he's just talking, knowing that his followers are so incredibly dumb that they'll think as long as he's talking, he's actually answering anything. He has not answered anything, and everything he's saying is complete nonsense, or it supports us. And then he's saying, but they're violating they're applying double standards. We have the exact same method when we go to the Bible or the Quran. We go to the clearest verses. We use the clear to interpret unclear verses. Don't know what to do. And I have to say, Sajid, you're also consistent in your methodology, but it's the opposite of what we do. You go to the unclear verses, insert the meaning that you dawa guys want the text to have, and then ignore all the clear verses which refute you. And you do the same thing with the Bible that you do with the Quran. To your credit, you're consistent on that point, but bad. All right, let's go through these super chats and then we'll share any final thoughts we have. Reads Surah 12:1 every time. Chewbacca defense. Yeah, the Chewbacca defense is, if it doesn't make sense, you must acquit. But yeah, Sajid, if this doesn't make sense, then got to mean something else. Honesty is the best policy. Yes, it is, Isa, and these guys are not being honest. You guys might be critical of dawa logic and inconsistencies, but at the end of the day, you still use toilet paper, so you uncivilized kafir lose. There was one video mocking Westerners for using toilet paper and saying, we're here to civilize them. They have to use stones. I never thought I would witness a sentient book being held hostage. Well, you have now. The Quran is alive and I held it hostage. Hey, was on yesterday's stream. Thanks for the response. Hatun, what's your email? You said you can send me resources about the Quran's written origin. Probably don't want to say your email out loud, Hatun, but you can tell this person where to find it.
Actually, my email address is public, hatun@dcciministries.com. Just email me and then I'll just reply.
We got it there. Me like word. Me follow funny book. Me like what? Me like letters. Me like 3 letters. These letters. This book be from God. It's basically what you heard in caveman language. Please give the Quran the teddy bear girl treatment if Sajid doesn't give a serious... Please give the Quran the teddy bear girl treatment if Sajid doesn't give a serious attempt to answer the dilemma. Yeah, the teddy bear thing was where we actually reenacted what Muhammad Hijab was saying the Quran says about how to deal with your wives and so on. And we enacted it with the teddy bear and a DeWalt skill saw. Ha 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 ha! Me like funny one like God. Me follow. Giovanni's being pretty funny here. Miracle of incredible confusion. It is. That is the miracle of the Quran. What do we have? Fatih here again. This day I've perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have approved for you Islam as religion. Rethink confirmation. Well, the same book that says this also says he's confirming our book. And the same book you're quoting right now tells us that we have to judge by our book. You guys say, no, he means the opposite of what he says. Well, when he says that he has perfected your religion, maybe he means he's not perfected their religion because he means the opposite of what he says. How are you guys not getting the problem here? Does the fact that the tafsirs exist mean it's not clear? Well, it's definitely not clear. And again, it's unclear according to the Quran. It's eventually revealed that the Quran is not clear in everything. But what you find from what the dawa guys are saying is none of it's clear. Because if the clearest if the clearest verses are unclear, then none of it is clear.
And you know what? What if the commentaries are not clear?
Yeah, well, what happens then?
You create like an infinite regress of like you go, it's like the Quran's not clear. Okay, we go to the commentaries. Well, the commentaries aren't clear. Well, you need to be a scholar. Okay, so are the scholars clear? Like when do you actually get to understand the words that are being said? When?
Yeah, so
Allah's not clear. Will the scholars be clear?
Yeah, so we got 2 things. We got the Islamic dilemma, and then to get out of it, their response leads to the infinite regress.
Yeah.
The Islamic infinite regress. Giovanni says, it would probably help clarify if their entire book wasn't written in squiggly lines. That would help. But, that's the beauty of the Arabic language. So the Quran is the Star Wars sequel trilogy to the Torah and the Bible's prequel and OG trilogy, respectively. No wonder I had trouble following it. Yeah, Nova, I don't know if you ever heard Vocab was talking about this. And he was using Star Wars language like you are. And he said he broke everything down. You've got the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran. and he broke it down in Star Wars language. He said, the Torah is like Star Wars: A New Hope. That was the first movie. He said it's like Star Wars: The New Hope. It introduces the characters, sets up the plot line, establishes who the villains are, gets things going. And then he said the gospel, the New Testament, is like Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Moves the plot along, and raises the stakes, all these things, and so on. And so he explained that, and he says the Quran wants to be Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, but it's more like Spaceballs. And hope you know what that means. But yeah, Spaceballs is the silly parody, and it was just a perfect description in nerdy Star Wars language that the Quran is trying to be part 3 of the movies, but it's actually like the stupid parody. And let's see. Hi, David Wood. You should have Dr. Falk and IP on for a stream going through what the Quran says about the Torah and the Exodus, Pharaoh, Moses, Aaron. Well, I could, but they're just going to affirm that the Quran is completely correct in everything it says. So, well, I don't want to prove that the Quran is true. And Patriotic Z says, Albie is debating a Unitarian at 5:30 p.m. on Standing for Truth channel. By the way, I was saying how the new picture is a good representation of Jai and DOC being a cute couple. Anyway, much love for everyone. No, that is an actual picture of Jai and DOC.
Yeah.
They lack real faces. They lack real facial features. All right. Well, we've been through 4. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4 of Sajid's responses to the Islamic dilemma. What are we thinking about? Anything he said so far that would make us doubt the strength and power of the Islamic dilemma? I mean, he's had 4 videos. We've gone through them in one way or another. I made a video about his response to West Huff. Other than that, we've been going through them in live streams. Anything that is making you doubt that the Quran affirms the previous scriptures here.
No,
He needs to prove it.
not at all.
He needs to prove it. Can we go through more of this?
More of what?
More videos like this? He can do like 10 more.
Oh yeah, he's gonna just keep distracting and moving the goalposts and all these other distractions, hoping that maybe that's what he's trying to do. Maybe he thinks that he's getting us to like not work on the Islamic dilemma. Well, hey, I got an idea. I know that they're part of this project, so maybe I can just distract him with all these videos. And yeah, it's not working, Sajid. No one's buying what you're saying, and in fact, as David has pointed out, that more and more and more people are seeing that you are a huge liar. You're the one misrepresenting what we're doing, what we're saying, and you're the one who's not sincere. So glory to God for exposing you.
Yeah, and I have to say, Sajid, maybe your followers, your fans are so incredibly dumb that they're sitting there watching this going, oh my goodness, Sajid said words. That means he refuted Islamic dilemma. Maybe your followers are dumb enough to fall for that. Everyone else is and it's way more people watching our responses than are watching your dumb videos. People are watching this, and guess what, Sajid? You do have people who are on the fence about whether this is a good argument. They don't know what to believe, but when they see this is how you're responding to it, they're going, whoa. If that's how if all this guy can do is toss up a bunch of smoke screens and lie and attack his own book, maybe these guys have an airtight argument and there is no response. That's why we want you guys responding, right? We can present the argument 1,000 times. People will always be wondering, I wonder if there's a good response to this. It's only when you guys try to respond and fail miserably that people go, oh, these guys don't have a response. So we thank you, Sajid. We thank you, and we encourage you to keep going. I don't think you're gonna keep going. I think you'll keep going for another couple videos. I do not think you'll keep going long term, because this is just ending in disaster for you. And fewer people are going to be watching your videos because they're going to give up on it. They're going to be bored out of their minds because you keep never addressing the topic. More and more people are going to watch our stuff, and it's just going to keep embarrassing you. So you're going to give up at some point, but I hope you prove me wrong. I hope you keep it up. I hope you keep it up as we keep going through the Quran. Respond to everything we say. Respond to all the verses. We want to hear it. because it'll be evidence for future generations that you guys got no response to this stuff. All right, Hatsoon, what are your thoughts on all of this? Hey, I think you're muted.
Yes, sorry. This is his fourth video, which he claims that he's responding to Islamic Dilemma. I put kind of a couple of shorts regarding his previous videos. And yesterday, when this video came up, I said we were doing live stream. I just listened in the background with the speed too. And once I picked up, okay, he's not dealing with Islamic Dilemma. All he's doing is, well, you need to humble your hearts. Your hearts are dirty. Allah can't do anything about it. So he was just providing more dilemma for us. And now, since we share the pain of going through this amazing video, which kind of comes together all together, he put video dealing with Islamic Dilemma for 36 minutes to 40 minutes. All of 4 videos are that long. And then what we have at the end, actually, he doesn't know how to answer Islamic Dilemma. He knows there are problems and he's trying to find ways to ignore them. So if I use the diversion way, if I start attacking Christian scripture or verses from the Bible, which I didn't even bother to read the next sentence, but if I attack them, people will spend their time to defend on those verses, comment on those verses, and then everyone will forget about Islamic Dilemma. But today, from today's video, what we have is, he pointed out to us, I don't think any of us asked, I didn't ask, he pointed us to Quranic verse, which is supposed to be very clear. He needed to go to Ibn Kathir to get the definition of the clear. And then, yeah, Ibn Kathir confirmed it is clear, even though beginning of that 3 letters, those magical 3 letters simply tells us only Allah knows what it means. So I'm leaving this live stream in a sense, yeah, I am holding those divine words of Allah, and I become so convinced that Allah is so clear God. Like, he needs to humble himself to be God, but also Muslims needs to start responding those objections. Making videos and not even dealing with the proper objection is not, it doesn't help the ummah. Muslims are literally like walking out of Islam because they cannot get answer to their very basic question. Yes, some people will just like, wow, Sajid is so wonderful and so clear, but lots of people are gonna say, this just doesn't make sense to me, why he's not responding things. Putting 36 minutes long video, and then probably his next video is gonna be God knows what. Probably he doesn't even know what it is. But probably the following video is, okay, I'm done with this topic. I put 36 minutes respond, and Christians did 20 hours rebuttal, and there is nothing to respond to them, so topic is closed. So that's what I'm expecting him to do. But overall, the word Allah supposed to be all wise, unless there is a different definition of the wise in Islam. Allah is supposed to be all-knowing, unless the definition in Islam is different. Allah communicates okay. And in his communication skills, Allah expresses that Quran comes to confirm the Bible. Quran comes to confirm the Bible. I want to take the word of Allah, and I want to invite Muslims to simply read that very book, which Allah asks you to believe in, and Allah tells the word that he is there to he sends book to confirm it. And I hope as you will read the book, as you read the word of Jesus, not only you will find out that your Muslim missionary brothers are lying to you, but you will also figure out that Allah is telling you the truth only once. He doesn't tell that much truth, but in this occasion, he's telling you that Quran is there to confirm the previous revelation. And not only you will find Allah is telling the truth, hopefully you will also meet with the Savior of the world, Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Yeah, and Sajid, that is the impact you're having, bud. You think you're rescuing the ummah from the Islamic dilemma. You're proving us right, and you're going to cause more people to leave Islam. and find the truth. And so we thank you for that. So keep it up, buddy. Keep it up. You're doing a bang-up job of proving us right, just like your book. Oh, boy. All we do is win, 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 win. Mosh brought up something. Hang on, let me do this. Hey, Spaceballs is funny. Their book is pathetic. Well, the book is kind of funny, too, if you see it in the right light. But from Mosh Cohen over there in Israel says, just got here. Sorry for the off topic and not sure if you covered it. But as we speak right now, there's an October 7th magnitude of massacres. Yet when you said that, I thought it was about the fires that were taking place earlier. Fires raging in Israel right now. And he says taking place in every Druze city in Syria. People are attacking Druze. Apparently, videos that YouTube would not let me describe in a super chat are released all over Telegram. Sad day for humanity. Yeah. So I just I'm looking up the headlines because I just looked up Druze. And it's Syrian attacks on Druze could be a collision course with Israel. Israel strikes Syria, saying it hit a group that attacked Druze. So apparently some of the new guys in Syria are going around attacking slaughtering the Druze, and Israel is responding by defending the Druze. But yeah, this is new breaking news for me. Was not aware of it until Mosh here pointed out. But yeah, we will sort of we'll have to pay attention, and then we'll jump back in. I'm sure AP will want to cover this. So yeah. And we have Fatih here again. If 2:106 justifies the abrogation just within the Quran as you claimed, then the latest verse, perfected and completed religion, is the ultimate say. You still don't get it, dude. If Allah says, hey, you have to believe in all your book and not part of it, and he doesn't mean that. If he says Jews have to judge by the Torah and he doesn't mean it, and if he says Christians have to judge by the gospel and he doesn't mean it, and if he's the same book that you're quoting right now, he says that the people of the book have to have no ground to stand upon unless they stand fast by the Torah, the gospel, and all the revelation that has come to us. If he doesn't mean that, he says we have no ground to stand upon. He doesn't say, oh, and the Quran is where you should be standing. He says we have no ground to stand upon unless we stand fast by our scriptures. That's the point. What you're doing, dude, is you're telling us that Allah is hopelessly confusing and doesn't mean what he says, and he means the opposite of what he says. And great. I don't care what else he says. If you're right about him over here, I do not care what else he says, because you guys are telling me he is the worst communicator in all of history. He's massively misleading. He's massively deceptive. He's the worst of communicators. He's the best of deceivers, but the worst of communicators. Great. Don't tell us about your religion. Don't tell us. Go find a religion and a God who can actually say what he means. Then tell us about it. But right now we're not interested. And can we address the completely historically wrong portrayal of Haman in the Quran? Isn't things like that a complete proof that the Quran is BS? Yeah, we're not going to address it here, but yeah, all sorts of historical problems. The issue of the crucifixion is one of them. But yeah, the Quran gets all kinds of things wrong, and that's just a problem. All right, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Sajid, for helping us prove that there is no serious response to the Islamic dilemma and that it's all smoke and mirrors, and that's what dawa is. You're helping us. Thank you. More to come. More to come, Sajid. You keep at it. Doing a bang-up job, buddy. Catch you all next time.
God bless.